Hey guys, welcome to Flashbacks, a Flash rewatch podcast. I'm Alex, and I'm here today with.
Will right here. You guys probably haven't seen me in a while because I've been on a sort of paternity leave. But I'm back in the usual car setup right now. But yeah, it's good to be back with you, Alex. How have you
Yeah,
been?
pretty good. The prodigal son returns.
Yes.
And
I
we,
got lost in the Speed Force, but I'm back.
that's it. We at the end we always say see you in the Speed Force, and he was not able to see his way out of it this time. But anyway, today is a very special episode. Today we are interviewing Team Flash, but not that Team Flash, the Team Flash that's behind shaping the world and making the VFX for the Flash CW show. And whoever wants to go first, go ahead.
I guess might as well be me. Jacob Patrick. I was an animator on The Flash, primarily season one. Also did a little previs. A lot of it is also like we do a lot of match moving, which we can get into later. One of the sequences I worked on is when I think first episode where Flash is running back and forth along the coast to stop the tsunami. Um, yes. Now next.
I'll go next. 'Cause I'm also an animator. And then I'll make Derek go because he was an animator too. My name is Elaina Scott. I was a senior animator at Encore. So I actually started at Encore on The Flash, but also worked on Supergirl that first season. But my favorite thing was that I got to do one of the first shots of Gorilla Grodd where you really get to see him when he's walking down the what is that? Help me, the pipes, the sewer. He was in the sewer. The very first time when he comes up to oh God, I'm so sorry. I forget that actor's name, but he's awesome. Anyway,
Jesse L. Martin.
Clancy Brown. Thank you.
Clancy Brown.
Yes, when he smacks Clancy Brown around and drags him through the sewer.
Bergen.
And yes.
Nice.
So I guess I'll pick on Jason, and then Jason, you get to pick on Derek. We have lots of animators in the chat.
Oh, we get to
right
pick
now.
on each other? All right,
Yeah.
cool. Hi, I'm Jason Shulman. I was the animation supervisor for the first 7 seasons of The Flash. Um, what else was I supposed to add to that?
Just what you would like any big moment you'd be known for, basically. Something the fans might remember. Like, I'm sure you can think of one, especially if you were the animation supervisor.
Well, yeah, I definitely had a lot of years to pick from, but I would say like in recent memory, what stands out in my mind as like most involved fun on the show was probably the Grodd versus King Shark fight.
Ooh, nice.
I'm
Gotcha.
Derek. I was also an animator and I worked on every season except for the very last season because
Nice.
that was moved to a different studio. But yeah, all those I worked on a lot of episodes. And yeah, I mean, besides working on the pilot, which was crazy, I also worked, the standout moment for me was probably that Grodd versus King Shark fight. And
Nice.
I did this really cool scene where Flash punched Grodd and Grodd fell down this whole like structure thing and fell and landed on the ground. I thought that was fun.
Nice. Awesome. I noticed a common thing.
Grodd and King Shark were the most fun, and we all got to work on Grodd and King Shark episodes. Those were always the funnest. So I worked on 5 seasons because I was also an anim supervisor on Supergirl, but yeah, we were always working on the show together. So like Grodd and King Shark were obviously if you got a Grodd or King Shark episode or shot, you were like super happy.
It just reminds me, I forgot about another one that I did, which was the arena fight between Flash and the white gorilla. I forgot what his name was.
Oh yeah, that was the Gorilla City
Yeah,
episode.
the
That one was
Gorilla City
crazy.
episode.
Yeah. I just wanted to let you guys know that Heather, one of the lighting and rendering artists, is waiting in the waiting room. She needs to be
Oh,
let in.
okay. Yeah, sure.
Heather's awesome.
Nice.
Jennifer, go ahead.
Hey, it's
Oh,
Heather.
okay.
Yeah.
Hey, so my
And
name is
Albert.
My name is Jennifer Hachigian. My last name's a doozy, but it rhymes with comedian. And so I got hired on Flash season 1 as a real flow artist to do water simulations. And so I assisted, Stefan brought it across the finish line for the tsunami episode, uh, where the water wizards threatening to drown Central City. And so after for season 2, I switched over to pipeline because they introduced new technology to the pipeline, but they didn't have a system in place at the moment to easily transfer data back and forth. But I'll get into that later. But I'd like to tap Stefan, who should then tap Heather, and Albert's here. This is so cool.
Yeah, and I would just like to say that Stefan was a master at lighting and rendering. Like I still feel like Grodd never looked as good as he did season 1. I'm just gonna say it. I don't care if that cancels me.
Look at him blushing.
Yeah, so I'm Stefan Brederick. I helped getting the Flash off the ground for the first season. I was hired to kind of help with everything 3D. I'm a supervising 3D artist and technical director. And I mean, there was so many amazing moments during the first season because nothing was existing. We built everything from scratch. We started like with only like 8 3D artists and like another like maybe equally sized comp team. And at the end of the season, we were like, I don't know, 60 people. It was crazy. But I think my favorite moment was I think we had a press screening for Gorilla Grodd for the first time. And only the press screening, like the audience screening, got like an extra shot of the face. And we got so much positive encouragement that we actually then decided we can go ahead with the big Gorilla Grodd episode. And to me, that was like, Gorilla Grodd was the reason I wanted to work on The Flash. I'm a big fan of the old 90s show. So it was a dream come true to work on it and working with an amazing team. And I think we had, even though it was very stressful, a lot of fun. And yeah, and again, I got to create like the first CG Flash and the lightning and blur effects. I got to help with the exploding tornado for the pilot. I did a lot of first designs for villains. Like I did the first Firestorm. I did the Mist. Like help creating the look dev and stuff. Not just me. And the biggest thing though was Gorilla Grodd, and like getting that episode done was just unbelievable. Like it was really feeling great.
And getting nominated for an Emmy for it wasn't bad either.
Yeah. No, I mean, again, it was really like everything from scratch. Everything was new, and I think we broke some new ground to do a TV show at that fast pace that had so many visual effects and so many full CG effects, and also the first time we had a full CG Flash flying by for the supersonic punch, where you could see the leather pores and the skin pores. Or when Gorilla Grodd was holding the Flash close to his face, most people think the gorilla was fake, but also Flash was fully CG on the close-up.
Wow.
And Jason and I and the team, we all got really bold and just let's do it, let's go for it. And that was the most fun, I think, and also the best memory that we just did it and it worked.
Yeah. You guys, like that's let me just say this for the record. You guys were able to create some movie level effects on like what I'm sure was not a movie level budget, and I feel like that's not praised enough. Like you guys like were able to make magic. I do remember still like that first time seeing Grodd and just being so impressed because like I'm a fan of Smallville and I am not roasting Smallville, but like some of the effects there, and it's also a product of its time, but like just seeing the leap from like something like Smallville to something like your guys' show. I remember just telling people about it and being like, you don't understand. Like, this show looks like movie quality. This show is so good. And so, like, just across the board, all of you guys did like an amazing job. And I just definitely want to give you guys your flowers right now. Great job, everybody.
Yeah.
I'll also chime in and agree. I mean, this show came at a perfect time. I'm sure now we're all used to hearing the term superhero fatigue or things like that with movies and TV shows, right? But when this show started, it was so fundamental just to me and my development as well when I was in school. So thank you all just for creating that world that we were able to explore. Man, it was awesome. It came out right around the time of when Arrow and all the Avengers movies and things like that were getting, really big, but the effects that you guys did really kind of laid the groundwork for everything that came after that too.
I
Thank you.
just wanted to mention that Heather jumped into the chat, and she's also another lighting and rendering artist. I'd like her to be able to pop in.
Yes, please.
Tell us about yourself with audio.
Yeah.
I can hear myself like in my
There she
studio
is,
setup.
the beautiful
Hey.
face.
Hi everybody! Oh my
Hey.
gosh, it's so nice to see like the old crew at Albert. Okay, let me settle down. Because it's been a very long time. My name is Heather Grocock.
Decades.
Yeah, like literal decades. I was a lighting and rendering artist on The Flash from season 2 through 7, because we didn't do the 8th season, I don't think.
Okay.
That went
Thank
to
goodness.
some other studio that didn't have our shining faces. But I think the coolest part about working on it is I am a fine artist. I'm not necessarily like a tech guy. I'm not like a software bro or anything. But we got to create some really cool, like, and sometimes really painterly things. My absolute, like, and I don't know if this is everyone else, one of your favorites, but Catatumbo Lightning, as hard as that episode was, it was just, that was the first time as a lighter that I was really able to do something more creative. Like they gave us, with the show in its entirety, a lot of creative freedom, which is usually not the case with shows like this. It's the client is always right and make it how they want because they're paying. But this client was very much like, no, put your like flavor on it. And we were like, oh, really? Okay. So for me, I think every episode being different, it being a different challenge. I wrote a lot of documentation for our processes because it was like one week they'd be like, okay, let's do ice bridges. What? How do we do that? Like, okay, we need a process. And I'd write up documentation. Okay, now we need the lightning to be slow-mo, but more slow-mo than normal. Like, okay, I guess we're retiming animation curves now. And there was a process, but I rewrote it so we could like actually do it. And then every time after that, they were like, more slow-mo lightning, more slow-mo lightning, like more. And we were like, but I had so much fun working with you guys. Jacob, it's so good to see you also. It's been literally forever, like with everybody, Derek and Jen and Albert and Will.
Yeah, we started this stuff 10 years ago, you guys.
Yeah.
It's so crazy.
Are we old now? Like, it's so
With
hard
Jason
to
and
think
Jen,
about.
I met those two in 2010 working on Terra Nova. That's a deep
Oh,
cut. You
okay,
guys were
yeah.
babies.
I think it was 2011.
2011, 2010. I started on it in 2010 doing previs, but yeah, like, yeah, we're like, we go way back, this group.
And
I just
Albert, who
realized-
hasn't got to introduce himself
Albert!
yet. He and
Yeah.
I worked together in
Albert in the
2004,
house.
Albert was
2005.
there towards the
Jimmy
very
Neutron.
beginning.
Albert was there before me, so you go, Albert, you go.
I started as a coordinator on that show. I was like, you guys, I don't want
Look
to
at
do
you
this.
now.
Like, I want to be an artist instead. Like, I have a whole degree. Okay. Like, I'm from Detroit. And they were like,
That's right.
what? Cars and robots are the same thing. And they were like, and I was like, let me show you. Like,
Awesome.
just take a look.
My third co-host is actually gonna join us right now, Brady. So
Yeah, but while we're waiting on him, let's hear from Albert. Introduce yourself, man.
yeah.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Good to see all your faces again. Wow. Yeah. So I was an animator on one of the few animators that was on Flash. I actually didn't come in until the second episode of first season, and then you guys
Yeah.
had me, all at least all the way up until the show ended. So, or was left on, of course. So,
Right? Yeah. You joined us for was it the duplicate guy? What was his name again?
Oh my God, I
yeah,
remember
that
you
was the
texting me.
very first
Jason
Duplex
texted
time.
me at 1 a.m. saying, I'm still animating duplicates. I'm like waking up in the middle of the night. There's a text from Jason. I'm still animating the duplicates. I'm like, what?
What was the
I
name of
remember that episode.
It was
Multiplicity or something. Or
Multiplex. Yeah.
Multiplex. Yeah,
Multiplex. That's it.
Multiplex.
Albert, weren't
Multiplex.
you there
Yeah.
before me though? I feel like. Anyway, go ahead, Albert.
Yeah, well, I don't know about Encore. I mean, I was probably at Flash before you, but not. I mean, I don't know, honestly. I just know from the second episode on, that's when I just came in, and I remember actually the multiplex episode too, because that was quite an interesting feat at the time because the scene was so heavy that we had to split that one specific shot was a top shot of all the multiplexes in the room with Flash. And we basically had to give each animator maybe like, I don't know,
quadrant
10. Yeah, exactly. 10 or 12 multiplexes in a specific quadrant to do, to animate and for it to all work out and not do any overlapping. And the process was laborious, but I mean, it turned out good. So, I mean, I actually really enjoyed that, but I remember that shot because it took some time because we had to go back and forth to make sure everyone was like, like I said, no penetrations, nothing weird going on in any one shot. So, and yeah, after and I want to say right around that time, maybe before that time, I think one of the first things I remember doing was a match move. And I remember I was in a room with Derek, there he is, and Mario. And that was my introduction to match move for the first time. And I'm like, well, how does this work? And they were showing me through as far as how it works. And I remember it was a very new process for me because I had never done match moves ever in my entire life.
For the audience, they might not be
one of them. Everybody needed migraine medicine.
The audience might need to know more about what we mean by a match move.
Yeah, if you could explain that.
Sure, of course. So, okay. So what they did was anything that was shot on plates, the shot, like say Flash doing jumping jacks or running on a treadmill. What wound up happening was we had to build what's called a CG double or scan, or the scan was made of that actor, the G double, exactly, of that character. After everything was done, the asset was made, rigged, and all that. It should be like a pretty exact replica of that character. And what we did is whatever action was happening that required any kind of extra effects on it, say any lightning trails, or whenever we get into specific slow motions or 3 times with Flash or anything like that, what we had to do was we had to cover the actual movements of what's happening in the shot.
Tracing.
So
yeah, with CG.
Yeah. Completely tracing.
Okay. It really was tracing. Lightning or effect will stick.
Exactly. So you couldn't necessarily just do.
No, sorry. I would say a perfect example was in the first season was Flash was hit by foam that ate his suit up, and we had the actor moving, but the suit had to kind of disappear slowly, like acid burning.
So yeah, if you ever watched that show Grimm, when people's faces would turn into animals and then turn back, I worked on that show, and that was like match moving is basically tracing with CG. If you watch Supergirl, whenever Martian Manhunter would change, we would have to match move him. It's a laborious, tedious, horrible. Some people are expert at it and make it look easy, and the rest of us want to pull our hair out.
And if you do a bad one, the lighter will whine because the lightning won't stick or whatever effect.
Anytime the client wanted like a series of episodes where a bunch of stuff crawls over people's skin, whether it's electricity or insects or whatever, everybody started getting miserable.
So depending on the type of match move that was needed, it could either be what we called a pretty rough one, which was maybe didn't have to necessarily be completely what we call silhouette tight. And then it just kind of got tighter from there, all the way up to what we have was called skin locked, where there couldn't be any movement whatsoever that it didn't need to be. It needed to be actually look like whatever was happening, say if there was a worm.
Oh my God, that guy's arms. Exactly.
It had
the metal guy.
You remember that?
Yeah. Do you remember the metal guy on the first couple of seasons of Legends of Tomorrow? That was
Haywood.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was sweet. You were like so pissed if you got one of those shots. It had to be so skin locked, and you're like,
gotta have a tight match move.
Fun times.
Awesome.
I remember
It
for that
actually reminded
multiplex
me.
episode.
Oh, good.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, Lena, remind me that one episode you had where there was a worm crawling into that dude's ear in
Oh
Supergirl,
yeah, so we had
and that had
to
to have a real good,
really
that
tight
had to have a
match
really
move.
good skin lock on that. Yeah,
Yeah, that
on
was on
the head,
Supergirl.
so
Like there
that the
was
worm
so
could
much
move
match
correctly.
moving on all those shows. It was like,
All of them.
oh my God, when we were
Martian
working on Titans, do
Manhunter.
you remember it was at Starlight or Starfire or whatever her name was? Like for some
Starfire.
reason they decided that had to be skin locked, and I'm like, you could have just done all of this in comp, right? Like you didn't have to torture the animators, but okay. But we're here to talk about Flash. That was me taking this off track.
Hey, it's
I
all
didn't know you
good.
guys did Titans.
Oh
Oh,
yeah,
we did
we
the
did pretty
whole
much all the
Titans
CW
CW.
shows except Arrow.
Wow.
Yep.
I thought they would
Arrowverse.
like separate it
Oh
because
no, we
Titans
even
was
did
the
some.
universe.
We even did some. What was the one about?
We did Black Lightning.
We did Black
and
Lightning.
Did you guys do
Albert was
Stargirl?
the one.
Batwoman.
We did a little Stargirl. That was mostly the other studio, but
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember the name of the show about the like Archie.
Oh,
what was that one?
Riverdale.
We did some
Riverdale.
Riverdale.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did some. Did you guys ever see the
Sulphur
episode where the
Springs.
babies were floating over the fire?
I'm gonna be
Yeah.
honest
I
with
animated
you.
I had no
babies
idea that
floating over the
existed.
fire.
Oh, wow.
I'm like,
Now I
how
gotta
do
see
I
it.
look up? How do I look this up? I'm just gonna have to make this look believable.
I heard it gets wild in the later seasons of
Yeah.
Riverdale.
Yeah.
Somebody who has watched it, yeah, it's strange.
So that,
you
that
watched
multiplex episode, so that multiplex episode that we were talking about earlier, the client originally wanted it to look pretty much exactly like that movie.
The Matrix, right?
No, that Z movie.
The Indian movie?
No, the zombie movie with Brad Pitt.
Oh, World War Z.
Yeah,
World War
World
Z.
War Z.
Yeah, the World War, like with the piles of like people.
Oh yeah.
Like, bro, we do not have that kind of
It's like
budget
we were
or
just
time
like
for
we're
pipeline
like using
or
3D
anything.
Studio
Like,
Max. We don't have like a staff of programmers, and so
they use actual proper
3ds
software.
Max and V-Ray.
Yeah, like
We didn't even have HDRI domes. I had to make the domes. Like,
we
my
didn't even
God.
have Maya yet. We got Maya.
yeah,
for
we basically said we were going to mutiny if they didn't switch to Maya, and that's where Jen comes in. And Jen can talk about that a little bit, but basically the animator said there's absolutely no way, and we don't want to get into the weeds of it because your listeners aren't going to understand, but let's just say there was one software that was absolutely not going to work for these shows and another that was, and Jen was the one who figured out how to make that pipeline work.
Okay.
Oh,
You
well,
mentioned it. So it was first 3D Studio Max, right? And then Maya.
Yes.
Just because-
well,
I mean,
3D
this
Max
is where like the
Those
audiences
a
may
few
never
things.
get this stuff, so let's give them a chance to hear some of that.
Oh
But
my God,
it's
do you
fine,
want to
Jennifer.
give them, I mean,
I think Jen should tell it because
Yeah, let's
she
let
is
Jen
my
tell it.
favorite programming genius in existence.
she is
Yeah.
the biggest
Okay,
genius
so-
ever.
I tried to follow you to where you work and see if there were like positions. I'm like, I just want to work with Jen.
So I mean,
I
like,
tried to poach
set the
Jen
scene for
several
like the
times.
situation.
Oh my God, Jen, your face is on fire.
No, like you're sitting around the campfire and telling a story about how the visual effects happen. No, it's not that terrible. Well, but I did put in the chat because I want to make sure that everybody gets their flowers. At its peak, Encore was about 400 people, Stefan, like, because you weren't there when it got to like 400 people. And my gosh, like, I want to give people their flowers because some like 2017, 2018 trivia, I put a link in the chat for reference. Quote, in the past year alone, Encore, a deluxe company, delivered more than 15,000 VFX shots, a number that continues to grow.
Yeah, so we can talk
I
about
didn't know it
how
was
many
that
Ah,
shots
the
we
good
had to
old days.
deliver per episode. It was
Those
crazy.
were the days.
Because you notice how they're talking about that many shows? There was that much work going on. And also, it wasn't necessarily that Max couldn't do the work. I mean, I know Maya, and I can vouch for that. But the reason was you tapped out the 3D Studio Max character animator market in greater Los Angeles. There
And
was
the referencing, remember like how hard it was to update rigs?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's that. Okay, so okay, how many moderators, how many of you have heard of 3D software out there? Like when you see makings of and you see over people's shoulders, like how the stuff gets made.
I
Can you
took a
name
3D
packages?
animation class.
Can you name any packages?
Nope, because I didn't pay attention. I said I took it. I didn't say I paid attention.
Not a problem. Honestly, I started out here long time ago in a different era. I started as a Lightwave 3D generalist. Let me just say, short version is I have been continuous learning for many, many years because tools keep improving, tools keep changing. And in the case of Encore, they tapped out, like Encore started as a boutique, a small crew. Encore was doing lots and lots of shows. Stefan, were you there for that? I was not there for this, but there was like a Halle Berry show, and I'm trying to remember the name of it.
There
Yeah,
was like
Extend
the
Extend was the
dome or
show.
something. Yeah.
When we started up the Flash, they kind of there was a slow start, so I got to work on a couple of these other shows like the Dome and other things. And like I said, we were only 8 3D artists in the beginning. And from these 8 artists, we used the software that these 8 artists, knew and created everything as good as we can. It went sometimes so crazy that we had no time to even give something to the compositors. So the 3D artists sometimes had to do the compositing to get the show done in the beginning. Like the tornado explosion was never going to compositing because I didn't have the time. And the first season was like crazy because again, there was no big pipeline development. It was just like, This is the work, get it done. And luckily then Jennifer had the time from the second season on to,
basically over
listen
the
to
summer,
the requests, listen to look what has worked, what hasn't worked, like, and getting it kind of like streamlined. And also nobody expected us to, at the end of the first season, to be already like 60, 70 people. I mean, that was just the first season. So it was really crazy. And I remember 3 months of work with 18-hour days every day, including weekends. Like that was.
Because we also had the Supergirl pilot, which was crazy.
Yes.
Like
and
we did.
That's like, where I met Jennifer for the first time. We both worked on the plane landing for Supergirl.
Yeah, and I was working on that too.
While working on the Flash.
Yeah.
It was really bananas, pun intended. So Jennifer, continue, please.
Oh yes. So I wanted to emphasize that Encore started for like over a decade, maybe 15 years leading up to the Flash. Encore was a boutique. It did a few visual effects as needed for a couple of shows, and 3D Studio Max is fine for a small crew. It's great for like a small team size. When you scale up your team, then other software might be better for scaling up for many different reasons. One reason might be, maybe I won't get into the technical stuff, but a big part of the reason why they introduced Maya to the pipeline was they had expanded the team, but they could expand the character animation team no further because there were no character animators left in Los Angeles with 3D Studio Max experience. But there were so many people with Autodesk Maya experience. So they were like, okay, we need to introduce Maya to the pipeline. We will continue to use 3D Studio Max for rendering and effects, but we will use Maya and layout, and we will use Maya for the character animation. Okay.
Gotcha.
But now the information's got to go back and forth between the two packages, because when you're in Max, Max understands Max data just fine. When everything is done in Max, it understands Max data just fine. Like picture this, like do you use PC or Mac at home?
I use a PC.
Okay, great. Have you ever been handed like a .doc file, a doc file? You can't open that in Notepad.
Yeah.
Right. You can't open a Max file in Maya. You can't open a Maya file in Max. They have their own individual scene file formats. And the industry's trying to address this Pixar tried to address this with universal scene description, a scene file format that can be opened in any package. It's a lofty goal, and
Pie in the sky. And now Epic's trying to do that with the Unreal Engine, but
oh yeah. But anyway, so how do you get the stuff back and forth? Well, the character animators, they're doing their work. So all of a sudden, instead of them just handing their work to the lighting department, no, because the lighting department can't open up a Maya file and do their lighting in there. So what you have to do is you have to get the animation data out of Max out of Maya and into Max. Okay. And you could totally do that individually. Like when they were saying earlier, like, oh, we couldn't have done this. Yeah, you could have done it without me. It would have been
impossible, Jen. Let's just say it. It would have been.
So,
I remember, yeah, between seasons 1 and 2, we had to spend all that time gap cramming to devise how to first rig in Maya and then get it out
Well, because every
to
episode has a
Max.
different creature or enemy of the week, right? So the
Oh,
problem
yeah.
with Max is that it doesn't have a referencing system, so you can't have the people setting up the characters for animation working in tandem with the animators. Whereas in Maya, you can give them a
rig.
first pass, the animators can get going, and the people setting up the animation rigs can continue their setup, and then we can just reference it in. In my opinion, it would have been almost impossible to work in Max and make the deadlines, in my opinion.
oh yeah, yeah.
Gotcha.
Like the
Agreed.
problem with Maya was more like if you were using Maya but you didn't have pipeline, you would be the one manually exporting geocache,
Right.
saving them to disk, and then on the Max end, you have somebody loading piece by piece. I'm trying to remember how many pieces Flash was. I think maybe 15
Oh,
pieces.
it was so many.
It was so many.
Depending
Yeah.
on the
I'm
suit,
glad we
because
got a
remember
lighter
the
here.
suit
They
changed
changed the suit every season.
like
So
every
Yeah.
4 or
yeah.
5 episodes.
Oh, yeah.
We got a new
I
suit.
remember, Armin. I was trying to push Armin. Like, can we get Maya going? And and we huddled together and like how we could make it possible. And at some point, he told me there's a 95% chance that this isn't happening, but it's still happening.
Mhm.
Yeah, what's hilarious,
I
Elaina,
mean,
oh, go on, Heather.
I was gonna say you want the show to get done, right? You want
Right?
to deliver every. Carrie
Yeah.
would always say like, "This is due in a week," and we'd be like, "Okay."
Yeah.
I was just thinking a funny thing of Pixamundo is I got hired there as a real florist and a real flow artist, and then ended up in Pipeline, and it's like
Yeah. So it's the same thing. Yeah, that's why
it's
she's
instead of Maya
irreplaceable.
to Lightwave, now it was Maya to Max. Now the thing about Lightwave is it had a text file format for its scene file format, so it was easy to just push a button in Maya and have a Lightwave scene pop out that had all of the geocaches loaded. Max was a binary format like a JPEG or like
Okay.
a JPEG image because like you open up a JPEG in a text editor and fix it up? No, no, it's a binary file format. So with Max, I ended up doing a push-pull system where you push the geocaches out of Maya into a designated folder that matched the shot, matched the version, and then Max would pull those caches. So the Max artist couldn't load a scene. Oh, Jacob, thank you for reminding me. Do I want to explain what a geocache is? Yes, yes, I do. Uh, okay. Uh, okay, so geometry cache. So you've seen all the like 3D wireframe images out there where it's like the characters made out of
Like the
wires.
making of.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Mesh.
Yeah.
So picture like everywhere where those wires cross is a point.
It's like a skeleton, kind of, right?
Yeah, so if it was just one frame of the
It's
animation,
like a wireframe.
you could
It's
export
more the
just
skin than the skeleton.
yeah, so you could export, let's say you could export just a geocache would be a point cloud stamped out for every single frame onto disk. And boy, did we learn some limitations of geocaches on those shows. And I mean, I even like started coming up with memes when we switched to Alembic Cache. I've got Gandalf handling the staff, and if you're missing a plugin, you shall not cache, because I would just
So
blow a
good.
fit because you don't have all the plugins there. And oh
He's a
yeah,
lizard, so he usually installs your software.
so I've got a couple of Gandalf memes. You shall not cache.
Nice.
But geocaches. So go on. You run to say
Oh, yeah, so I did have some questions for you guys. You have answered some of them already in the challenging department, but because that was one of my questions. But I think my first one, me and my co-host here, Brady, go ahead and introduce yourself to the audience while I load up the questions here.
Well, it's Clark Kent, obviously.
Yeah.
Yes, I am. My name is Brady. I just recently became a co-host of this show. It's great to meet you all. I'm a huge fan of the Flash TV show and Titans. I'm probably the only person on Earth that likes Titans. But
Hey,
yeah,
I
I'm a
like
huge
You're
Titans.
DC Comics
welcome.
fan.
I also like Titans.
What's the
Hey,
name of that
nice.
other show we did? It was
Legends of Tomorrow.
no, the other one that was like
Swamp
more
Thing.
Oh,
adult, the one that was on
the
Doom
one with that
Patrol.
hot burned guy,
Doom
We did Doom
Patrol. That's
Patrol.
yeah,
Oh,
we
Doom
also did Doom
Patrol. I
Patrol.
love Doom
Oh,
Patrol.
So when
I
we say we
still
did a
need to
lot of
watch
shows,
past
we did a
season
lot of
one.
Yeah.
shows.
Oh, nice. Got the memes loaded up.
Oh.
Yes.
Yeah,
Oh
That's
wait,
where it came
should we
from.
put these in the episode, Alex?
Please put
Can
him in
we
the
Go
episode.
for it.
Yes.
are
I
we able
just
to
used the
share
meme
them?
generator for them.
You can
I sort of
download
wish we
them
had
from the
Eddie's
chat.
like Grodd with the gold chain, like the Biggie Smalls Grodd. Do you remember that?
We did have
Yes.
we did have a villain that had like a gold chain in the show or something like that, but he wasn't Grodd.
No,
I
Eddie just made that
remember.
comp and had it as his like screen. It was like waiting screen on his computer. I just
Yeah, I
remember
can
that.
go ahead and hold on, let me just go ahead
Uh,
and pull them up. I can share some memes, guys. Just give me one second.
yeah. And while you're getting those questions pulled up, I actually thought of one that I have. This is
Sure.
more so for anyone who worked on any of the animating of the lightning and stuff. How did you approach the effects between the different speedsters? So obviously Barry's lightning would look a different way, but maybe reverse flashes would be more intense or
Change the
zoom or
color.
someone like that. How
Oh,
did you
yeah,
differentiate
that
those?
sounds like that's me or Stefan, whoever wants to.
So the lightning system was changed a couple times. So I'm gonna tell you guys how we did in the beginning. We literally took After Effects and the lightning plugin and rendered out lightnings that we liked in it as a texture. And then we made basically cloth ribbons behind the Speedstar that get simulated, and we put the texture on it. And it was a really efficient system because we could get exactly the lighting that the client wanted. And we basically, anytime the guy would run by, he would have these clothy bits basically like just being there for a moment and revealing the lightning. And we had like different zones where we could turn them on or off, and we could choose different kind of textures. And I think that's how most of the first season was done. The only thing that where we had to go a little bit more special is when a lightning had to grow. And I think there was the weather wizard and there was a lightning going through a car and stuff like that. And that was a little bit more procedural.
The
But
plane crash. That was
yeah,
part
but
of
it
that
was
episode.
it was really like we really tried to use every trick, every shortcut we could come up with, as long as it worked and looked good. And and then I know that the lightning system was later changed and stuff, but if we had like reverse flash or anything, you literally just switch the color.
And a little inside baseball, we used to call those the
Yeah.
zoop shots. So if he's zooping around on the
Yeah. And
Let's
I
say
want
something
to
about that.
I want to say one more thing. The funniest thing was realizing what wagon wheeling is. You guys have ever filmed a car that drives by, and based on the shutter of the camera, it sometimes looks like the wheels are not turning. We had a system in the beginning that the Flash would run physically accurate. So he would literally plant his foot correctly on the floor. So if he would run like 1,000 miles per second, he would do many steps per frame. And it looked sometimes he would hop on one leg, basically. It just didn't work. It just looked really weird, and it just didn't work. So we just tested what is the minimum frames we need to basically sell that the guy is walking. And then that's the one speed, the super speed. Yep, 4.
Yeah, we kept that as an animation.
So-
we would reuse it.
Yeah. So the secret is that the Flash never really runs correctly. It just runs for the picture, so it looks good in the picture.
looks right in the shot,
and
yeah.
all the systems we had in the beginning were just thrown out of the window because it just looked bad.
Here's
So-
a little secret to VFX. We cheat everything. There were shots where Grodd and King Shark are fighting, and we had to make King Shark smaller because he's way bigger than Grodd. Like he's like
Yeah.
5 feet taller than Grodd. So like sometimes we would have to scale Grodd up or scale King Shark down, but then when they were in their own shots, they were it's all cheated. Godzilla's cheated. It's all cheated.
Everybody
Always
cheats.
cheated.
One of the old
Yeah.
principles,
You remember-
the old principles of animation and visual effects is if it looks right, it is right.
There were also two
Yeah.
limitations. Those speedsters uncovered so many limitations. Like if you ran too far off the origin of the software program, you ran into precision errors, which would cause like motion blur errors or just jitter. or whatever. And then the other one was, so there was this thing built into the rigs later where if the rig was placed more than, I think, 100,000 units,
it was like 100,000 units, yeah.
Then too far would appear all over the character, and it would show up in your play blast. Then, like, the other one, what limitation was ornatrix, where, and this
Oh,
one
the
was
hair.
80s, the wigs of the character,
Yes.
because any hair
Yes.
and fur are a nightmare in CG, just so you know.
Yeah.
So
Uh,
So
Supergirl
was
had
the
all
lightning,
kinds of fun
apparently.
problems with that.
And
I can
3
imagine.
Max, all the wigs were done in 3 Max with, well, okay, all the versions of Flash rendered with 3 Max, they used a plugin called Ornatrix, which means hairdresser in Latin.
Okay.
And
I
so
didn't know that.
Ornatrix,
Fancy.
hey, look, like, I looked it up because I'm like, hey, why is it
Well,
called that?
I know
Oh,
you look
okay.
things up.
Of course you would look it up.
I wanted to know.
It was the only tool I knew to use, so that's why we used it.
Oh, it looked
It
weird.
worked.
The limit
Yeah.
was if you moved in 3D Studio Max 2017, if you moved the character, it was a very specific number. We got it down to the number, but if it was more than like roughly 87,000 units off the origin and you tried to render it, Ornatrix would crash 3D Studio Max.
We had to do stuff like moving the entire city sometimes just to make sure.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
And that was
Wow.
not, I
Yeah.
mean, we're talking about millions of polygons.
I had to make
Yeah.
I had to make a sphere object that would be handed off to everybody, and there'd be like a link to it, and it would just represent the radius of where all your
Limitations.
action has to take place inside of, otherwise the render falls apart. So we have like Flash and Supergirl all like traveling these fast, far distances, and it's like once they leave that bubble, the
So we
render
cheated
gets
a whole heck of
all
a
the other
lot.
departments below you just come back with pitchforks.
I think it was you, Jason, who brought me over to debug a shot where remember how we had that nice little fitting preview that would give you the shot number or whatever, all that stuff, but it was geometry, the title and everything, so that you could type out things and have it parented to the camera. It would be like a little piece of geometry that would be parented to the camera so that it would be an overlay on your preview. And you were asking like, hey, why is this overlay disappearing on this guy's shot? And it turned out that Flash was running so fast that some precision error was happening in Maya and so we had to just push it a little farther out.
He is the fastest man
It
alive,
was
to
a
be fair.
clipping
I
plane
mean,
thing, yeah.
It was
The
like some
Speed
kind
Force
of,
took over.
yeah, it
Another
was one of
big
the,
problem.
That's right.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Jen.
oh no, I'm just saying like, oh my gosh, like every day we were finding like it was a new technical problem to solve. So that was part of my job was digital plumber.
Yeah, I was pissing off a lot of the departments that come after animation, especially when it came to Flash's bullet time speed changes or flash time moments, because the lightning motion was simulated. So it was this conflict of methodology that we were having. It's like either we would have to find some cheat with the lightning to deal with those speed changes, or we would have to have animation files that were like 5,000 frames long and then go through some sort of editing process
Yeah, like
to
speed
add
ramps.
the ramps
Yeah.
that may, if somebody else is doing that editing, then they don't know what the animator had in mind for when
Yeah.
speed changes are supposed to happen.
Mhm.
So it ended up being the best thing to do, is to just try to find a cheat for the lightning and have like normal length shots that the client
Because
could
if you
view.
move them wrong, the lightning doesn't work.
Yeah, because it's simulated.
Yeah.
It's actually simulated in
Right.
real physics. So, yeah.
If there's nothing to stretch, I can't stretchy it.
Yeah, so there was a lot of hacking that had to go into the lightning as we went on to make it retimable.
Nice.
And Stefan should get a lot of credit too, because I
Mhm.
remember when we did the pilot and we did a couple episodes, and then we were supposed to share that with the other studio. Remember, we were going to do a couple episodes, and the other studio was going to do a couple episodes, but they couldn't duplicate
No.
lightning effect.
They couldn't touch
Stefan's a
them.
rock star.
Stefan's
So
too
I'm curious.
cool.
Nobody
So
like
Oh,
was-
that's why we
gee.
got the whole thing.
Stefan did the like he rendered the water. Jen did the simulation of the water, I think. And then I remember Stefan, you did some giant explosion thing that looked incredible. I don't remember what episode it was, but
I used to be the explosion guy because I knew this
they
tool
look really good.
called Fume Effects. And
Everybody
and Jason, it's just to pick up where he said, anytime you do something that is based on physics that the computer can simulate, which back then took like hours or days sometimes, you need a fixed timeline, like with like 24 frames per second or 48 frames per second or 1,000 frames per second. Now, Jason animated the Flash going real time and then slow motion in 1,000 frames per second and then real time again. And so I asked him, for example, I need all the frames in 1,000 frames per second, which means the timeline would be ginormous. And that's basically the difficulties that we had to face to figure out, okay, how can we keep the workload like manageable, but also keep all the departments and their restrictions happy and what they have to do with it.
We ended up working a lot of hours.
Yeah.
Today, the technology is so much more advanced that with tools like Houdini, you can do so many things. But when we had to do multiplex splitting, like two humans splitting and having these strings in between, we tried it in like 4 or 5 different ways with 4 different artists. And it was like, it was really hard to figure out to make this effect work. Yeah, the girl that ran out in the water and exploded, that was kind of cool. I personally, I also thought, anytime you saw Firestorm, you have to realize anytime you see fire, it's a simulation. So, and simulations is like, you know, like slow cooking. You have a giant pot, you put all the ingredients in, you cook it overnight, and the next morning you try it. It tastes really bad. You put it all out, and you put a new recipe in and wait another day. And anytime you saw anything exploding that was a little bigger, that's these kind of simulations, you know. And anytime you see Firefly flying through the air, we had these super long simulations also where, you know, these trails of smoke behind them. So everything was always constantly a technical challenge. But that's also kind of the fun of this job, is to, you know, like to be the A-team, to be MacGyver, to be these guys that like take a, I don't know, like a bubble gum and a little bit of wire and make something really amazing out of it. And that's how it felt. And we were really, really good at it, but it was hard to keep up with us.
Do you want to talk about how long it would do? We usually got like 4 or 5 weeks per episode.
It
so
compressed.
Like,
the
we
pilot,
would ramp up. We would start in August. And then by October, which is when Flash started airing, we would have like 3 or 4 episodes in the can. So that would always allow us to have about 4 or 5 weeks to get an episode done. But if you had an episode like one of those Grodd episodes, there might be like 60 shots of Grodd. And so, yeah, there was one episode where I had like 17 shots, which was like amazing, right? Like that was like Christmas and my birthday all in the same month. But, you know, like sometimes it was like crazy the amount of work we would have to get done in a short amount of time.
We probably all cut our lives 10 years shorter on this show because we love it.
1,000%. We ate so much takeout and just sat for so long.
Some of us get out sooner than later.
So, and one thing is also, we had this stupid idea to also do a weight loss challenge while we were working.
Oh my God, I know.
Something
like,
Nerf guns.
That is really
like, let's do it, guys.
Let's do
it. Diet.
Like a behind the scene thing is we were concerned about our health and stuff, and we were eating like, you know, bad, and like we got really like served food and stuff, so we wouldn't leave our desks and stuff. And and at the end we thought like maybe we do like a weight loss challenge to keep it kind of like and then
we got exercise with the Nerf guns.
But the funniest thing,
oh my God, the Nerf guns! I missed the wars.
You should mention that Nerf battles.
I actually won the weight loss challenge because I was working like crazy, and then they asked us to be interviewed for the blur for the DVD. And I remember I got a phone call from home and people asked me, "You look sick. Are you okay?" Because I was so skinny from the work and so pale in that interview that people called me back and said, like, hey, are you working too much or anything?
Visual effects. That's all.
It was amazing. It was really like again, and we had like a lot of fun doing the show, even though it was very stressful, you know. And it was really like the team was like really tight, and I think we did some really cool magic for sure.
Yeah, we're like family, even though like most of us haven't seen each other in a while. Like it's, we spent a good chunk of our lives together. Let's put it that way.
We have
That
a
was
Discord.
Yes,
We talk.
my
Aw.
favorite my one memory from my 40th birthday was Elaina handing me this cake.
Oh yes, the cake, the flash cake.
that was actually going to be
I
one of my things. Is like what are some of your favorite memories working on the Flash or just highlights in general that you guys
remember
are.
when
Go ahead.
what was the name of Berlanti? Armin actually brought Berlanti over to my desk, and I was wearing my Supergirl boots or something, and I was just like, oh, and he was really, really nice, but I was just like,
You went boo.
that was really cool. But no, actually just like getting to work on the show every day was really the best part of it. Like there are times when you just wanted to pull your hair out and kill yourself, but like most of the time you're like, this is a really cool job and I'm very lucky,
Yeah. Anybody else? Any other memories or?
Do y'all remember when Killer Frost came to the studio and they were like,
Yes.
we're gonna have some talent and everybody have really cool stuff up? And we were like, all right, our coolest
I wasn't
things.
told about this.
They didn't tell. She walked through L&R and I was like, I didn't realize when they were going to walk through, and it was her and Armin, and my back was like facing the door, and it just got really, really quiet in the room, and I'm just working, and I happened to like look to my side. We made eye contact, and I was like,
I remember
back to
when I was
my
working on
machine.
Extant and somebody brought in President Obama's daughter, and
Whoa.
I was like, I wanted to say something nice, but I was told like you can't
Don't talk to her, don't make eye
Yeah,
contact.
Everybody but
Jacob, do you
Jason
wanna
can
share?
say something.
Everybody was like, you can't talk to her. Like, okay. And then she's like being led around the room, and like everybody's looking like they're ignoring her. Weird feeling for her.
Yeah. I think what I'll end up doing is for the memes, I'll probably just share it when I make a post for you guys, and I'll be like, hey, find the context behind these memes kind of thing. Like I'll
Right.
probably do that.
The game.
Yeah, on the actual Instagram thing, be like, watch this episode. Do you understand some of
Any
these
of these
memes here?
memes.
Yeah,
You,
exactly.
me, and Will could all post a meme each on our Instagram pages and just be like, can you find the hidden context?
Yeah.
Yes.
Hey, there you
That
go.
sounds- I think
Right.
one thing we should mention though, like these people here are just literally the tip of the iceberg. I mean,
Yes.
there's so many people involved.
There
So
were
many
like
people
21
involved.
animators at
It-
one
it-
point.
I'm just
24
saying, like,
animators. Yeah.
I was one of the TDs and supervisors, and even the pilot had 3 of these. Like, so
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, because it was like basically like we switched the episodes, and then for the finale we hired a 3rd supervisor. So it was really crazy in there. I mean, there were so many important people in the beginning. Like Kurt did the first rig for Gorilla Grodd and started that all up. So like rigging, like we had a rigging genius. And yeah, it was just a lot of fun. And again, there's so many people that were so necessary to get it all done. Like I mean, it was actually kind of a miracle sometimes that we delivered.
Teams. There were so many teams.
Yeah.
My job was to like keep the conveyor belt moving between the teams.
And shout out to Kurt, because
Again, the
Elongated
good old
Man was
days.
a very hard character.
Oh
And to have
my
a
God.
stretchy, animated. Jason, do you remember he had to like jiggle his head to like get back into his shape, and the rig had to be like squishy and stretchy, and we were just like, how is this going to work? And
I
you
remember
and
having to
Kurt,
Because
spend
we
a lot
couldn't
of time.
simulate it. We had to
I-
keyframe it.
yeah,
If you're talking about Elongated Man, I remember I had to spend a lot of time in the rigging room
yes,
talking
was-
with them about what we needed it to be able to do. And I mean,
like at that point, you guys could have Disney drawn him instead and got it done faster, because all of the technical hurdles with
Truth.
that rig and lighting him and texturing, because once it gets to L&R, it's like our problem unless the rig is broken or Natrix is broken or something that a lighting and rendering artist cannot do is broken. So working with him, I was just like, this is crazy, but I have a really good team. So if I get stuck, they're going to help. hopefully.
Etching
Like,
effects are hard even on big Hollywood productions. That's why, like, even the recent Fantastic Four movie, for example, people were kind of just like, how's that gonna look? Because most of the time, like,
Stretchy
stretching
stuff
it.
usually looks like crap in CG.
it
So
looks
Yeah.
stretchy.
I'm very curious to see how it looks. I mean, I'm excited for
Mhm.
that movie because I love that they're going back with the original 60s vibe. Like I'm
Mhm.
super excited for Pedro Pascal and the whole cast and everything. But I worked on a Fantastic Four game and a Fantastic Four movie, and I've never seen it
Wait,
look right. So
Maybe they
which,
have
which
curves.
Fantastic Four game did you do? Because
oh
I have
god,
a
the
couple
GameCube
Fantastic Four
one.
games over here.
The one from the
Oh,
GameCube in like
I have that
2004.
on the original Xbox. I have a copy.
Yeah.
It's just a Fantastic Four movie tie-in game.
Yeah, it was originally just a
Nice.
Fantastic Four's comic book tie-in game. It was a very different game for a long
Ooh.
time. And then the movie got greenlit, and then the publisher's like, "We want you to make this for the movie, actually." And so we had to like throw away but anyway, that's for a different
Yeah.
podcast, but
That's
Um,
interesting. I did not know that was a comic Fantastic Four game
yeah.
before the
yeah,
movie.
it was totally different. It was like super Silver Age comic crazy, and then it
Man,
yeah, sadness.
I wish we got that. But anyway, the either Brady or Will, which one of you guys wanted to go next with the question? Brady, you haven't asked a question yet. Did you want to ask the
yeah,
next one?
so I'm gonna go off script with our questions.
All right.
Or my question. Did any of you have a favorite character that was CG to work on, like King Shark or Grodd? And if
God.
so, like, did you also like look at comics when you were trying to like make the character for reference, just to be like, how would this move? How does this look? Like, how would this
Well,
translate to a live action setting?
well, they had concept art from their pre-production department, which we weren't involved in, and
Ah.
usually the modeling department would just match to whatever they gave us, and they said, that was the rules. We couldn't just make up our own designs most of the time.
In the first season, we did though. There was no
We did on
design. There
Supergirl.
was no
We
design
made
for
up
Firestorm
the
or
White Martian
and
we
even
made
for
up.
Gorilla Grodd, there was very little in the beginning, like in my view. But again, we also didn't know what we can do. It was like the big question mark. So
You
they
guys
they
were
probably
sculpting the world. Yeah.
Wait,
they didn't want to box
Stefan,
us
are you
into much.
saying that you designed the costumes for on set as
No,
well?
he was asking about
No,
Grodd.
no. But for example, they had Firestorm for the first time as a bum with long hair, just sitting in the corner and then spitting fire out, and there was no art direction in it. There was just things that like comic book references that we like looked up, and then we presented something, and then like there was possibilities to be creative in the beginning, unless it was like a very complex design or anything. But I thought that there was a good balance between things that were kind of like, on rails that we had to do exactly the way it was supposed to be. But there was also other things where we had like freedom to, make it cool. Like that's our favorite note, by the way. If like our supervisor or whatever said, make it cool, make something that's impressive or cool. So yeah, and to me again, like seeing the pilot was a real achievement, like just getting the pilot done.
Yeah.
The tornado explosion was like a big deal in the beginning, and figuring out the running around and all this stuff. And then character-wise, I personally, I also liked, like in general, like the mist and other creatures that just did something cool that we haven't seen like that before. So yeah, I think there was so many cool moments, but the biggest thing I think is that like it was really surprising how many new things like were invented. Like, I mean, you mentioned it, the monster of the week or the villain of the week. That's
We had
that's
to like
usually something that's way too expensive to do, and you guys did it for 7 seasons. I mean, it's crazy.
and the animators got to previs a lot of their shot because a lot of times with the Flash, it would be a full CG shot because the city was CG. They would have plate photography that they shot in Vancouver, but then the city, when he's running around and stuff, that was all CG. And a lot of times we would do our own cameras and do our own CG, or we would take the plate footage and we would move that through the city so that the city was going by him and stuff like that. But we all got to wear a lot of hats, which was really cool.
Yeah,
So
nobody ever called out that, hey, our CG city doesn't look anything like Vancouver.
yeah, no, yeah. I mean, they moved Supergirl. They shot the first season of Supergirl in Los Angeles, then they moved it to Vancouver, and nobody noticed a difference. It was very different, but like nobody noticed because they also
That
moved it from
probably
CBS to CW. So
I think my
that probably
favorite
came
character
down
is
to
CG City.
both of the cities they take place.
PG City, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Those
Because it
come
really
down
was
to the
like its
fact that
own
in
character.
Yeah, and it
Yeah.
got more advanced per season too, right? Like,
Oh yeah. It
yeah,
added layers of fog. So when we had a plane episode, you would see like that, that like little mist that you like going through the clouds coming down. I tell you, putting a volumetric box the size of a city with multiple densities is very hard. But and it took a long time to render at first. So there was a lot of problem solving with that. And I'm thankful to Jen and the TDs for making that happen because we were just like,
we had great
I
pipeline
don't know how else
people.
to do
Jen
it.
and the pipeline people were our saviors. I mean, every team did an incredible work. Everybody worked really great together. There'd be times when we were working 7 days a week, 12-hour days for months. Sometimes,
And
or they had like rolling overtime. So it's like some people would
Mhm.
do like 2 weeks in a row and then they'd get a weekend off or whatever you had to do to like get it done. But it's like such an achievement to like all of us, I averaged like 400 shots a year, and I'm sure everybody else had something similar or something. But like after 4.5 years, I had done like over 1,200 shots. It's just like, it's a team. It's one team, one company did. At one point, we were doing like 6 different shows at the same time.
And to put that into
the whole
perspective, like
Are we
CW
allowed-
block.
Are we
big
allowed to talk
budget
about the other shows, or are we just limiting it
movies.
to Flash?
I would like it to mostly be centered on Flash, but if there's anything else
Sorry
that
about
might
taking it
be.
off.
Oh no. If there's anything, I have ADHD, so I go all over the
Samesies.
place. So
Same.
yeah, so like
Wait,
you are
all of
totally
Wait,
us.
I have an
fine.
experiment here. Who here has ADHD? Raise your hand.
How about who doesn't have ADHD? Right?
I got the TISM as well.
Yeah.
Now we know if you're a creative person, you have it.
You're among friends.
Yeah.
Actually, I wanted to just jump in to expand on something Stefan mentioned, where he mentioned that it was such a large team, and we are just the tip of the iceberg
Mhm.
pipeline-wise. I worked, all right. First season, I didn't really touch pipeline outside of my own real flow to Max work, but there was someone who predated me who carried season 1, but I'm forgetting his name. But Stefan, who was the guy who wrote all of the Max scripts?
Wasn't it Pasha?
I'm thinking it was like Chang. Like I'm really bad with names though. And the problem was this guy
Chang
did
Su.
not.
Chang Su.
That's it. That's the
Yeah,
guy. who wrote
we
season
didn't.
1.
Yeah, we didn't like. We didn't script very much, to be honest, in the first season. Like
That's right.
I remember you mentioned caches. I remember we directly cached into the V-Ray mesh cache most of the time to get it rendered and stuff like
And
that.
the
But
audience is lost.
yeah, I'm sorry. Like this is very
No,
very
and
specific. But like I said, like the pipeline was survive another day.
Yeah. Make it up as you go along.
It's
in,
and
20 in 2018, like there was more people in pipeline than just me. I mean, actually, in even before, like there's also, remember Richard Foreman? Like he was the guy
Oh,
who
Richard.
assisted in automating shot grid. Like again, automation to lift a lot of drudge work. It's all about lifting drudge work off of folks that you don't have to manually do stuff. So he was doing some shot grid automation, and so yes, there's like people before me and people who came on board afterwards, and like people in the background like doing serious infrastructure work like Richard Foreman.
You
So-
held the fort for the first couple of years, though.
Yeah,
I know I'm
Jen
blazing
was
her up
the
a lot, but
department.
she's worth it.
I was
it is-
popular.
I think it's really good that you mentioned it, Jennifer. And as always, with these companies, there's an I/O department that makes sure data goes in and out, and videos and files go in and out. There's a networking department.
Render
there's
farms.
a render farm department and render
Yeah.
watchers, like people that just watch the render farm.
There-
That
people
kind
who
of
say
stuff.
they're overnight watching the render farms. Because
Yeah,
I can
I-
remember there were episodes where literally was airing the next day, and they were
Oh,
still
wow.
getting notes from the client and like trying to get it out. And like that happened a few times.
Cutting it that close, dang.
Yeah,
More than a
Jeez.
few.
more than a few.
Like
Yeah.
we had some anxiety
Add the
attacks
buzzer.
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was
Did
this
you-
old animation like Wallace and Gromit, the wrong trousers. Where at the
Yes. You're
climax,
putting the
at the climax, Gromit's on a toy train and he's run out of track, so he scoops up a box of spare tracks and starts laying down the tracks in front
That's
of him.
what it
It's
was like.
going
Yeah.
That was us.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that is a very good metaphor.
Awesome.
Did you guys watch Supergirl and Legends of Tomorrow as well?
Of course.
I haven't
Yes.
seen either.
Okay, well, yeah, we had
Really?
had some really fun moments on those.
Legends of Tomorrow was so fun for
Take
the
off
first like
that
3
shirt.
seasons, and I think Supergirl was great for the first 3
Mhm.
seasons, and then it kind of started falling off. But
I'm sure Legends of Tomorrow would be great to work on because you have such a large cast of all these different characters with all
oh my
these
gosh,
different
it's like
abilities.
Doctor Who
So
meets
much fun.
superheroes. It's so great. Like,
Yeah.
I love the first 2 seasons of that show.
I have two favorite moments from working on Legends.
Yeah.
That was the giant robot fight in the first season.
Yes, got to work on that one
And-
too.
Leviathan.
And then the Bebo fight.
The Bebo fight, yes.
Oh,
Bebo.
Demons.
Is that the Furby
I
looking
got to work
thing?
on both of those. That was fun.
When
His
Bebo
fur
went
was
Stay
so
Puft.
annoying. He
Oh
was
yeah,
terrible to light.
well, you guys had was it a pinata for the first time?
Oh yeah.
Because you
I got
hated him so
video.
much, and then he came back with a vengeance as a giant Bebo.
We beat the crap out of that thing. It was so cathartic because
Oh,
that episode, I think, was like, it was one of the more complicated fur rigs. So
And he was
for
gigantic.
lighting, he was huge. And we were just like, why is he cute? We hate him. Like, this is terrible.
That was like one of the weirdest reoccurring characters, I gotta be honest.
yeah, the
We do the
actual
heart-
CW client was like loved Bebo.
Yeah.
We do the puff of smoke in the heart shape like we wanted to. When he ended, he like crashed into earth and like poofed.
I don't
in,
know
like,
whose
blue
idea-
smoke.
Whose
It
idea
was
the
Chris,
hunt?
my husband.
Oh, he came
not
up
a
with okay.
podcast
He was
guy,
in
though.
Crisis. Bebo was in the Crisis episode.
There was
I
a-
Those
must have missed
cross.
that
Ooh, can we
then.
talk about the crossover episodes? Because those were so
Sure.
fun. Those were like getting to work on a mini Avengers every year, and that was really great because we would get to use Arrow. We would get like everybody would be crossed over in everybody else's episodes. So Flash would have a crossover with Arrow and Super. I think those were
Mhm.
super fun too.
Flash and
Yeah, that's
Supergirl
right. I
having a
forgot that was
crossover
that.
was fun
And
because they
I
were
don't
on
know-
Bleed together.
I don't know if that was the first time I worked
Fight.
on with Flash or not, or if it was after, but I was working in a different studio, Zoic, working on Arrow episode, and that's when I was doing Boomerang thing with Flash. Because sometimes they would, depending on who had the main show, that's who would do the other characters.
Right.
Nice.
I'm trying to
Um,
remember if it was. Oh,
I
No,
was
go ahead,
doing
go
that-
ahead,
that
go ahead.
I'm
Fight
try-
between Arrow and the Flash.
did we just lose Albert?
Yes, I guess.
No.
Should have let him talk
Looks
more.
like we lost his.
I
I hope he's
know.
still around.
Dude, I was gonna-
his kids might need something, so
Yeah.
he got little ones.
Albert's a
So-
responsible adult.
I guess I'm going to go off script with one of my questions. So, you guys talked about Grodd earlier, and I know one of you mentioned the Gorilla City episode with the big. Was that the one with the big gladiator type
Yes.
thing with
Yeah,
all the eggs?
Norbert.
What was that like? What was that like doing?
Crazy.
that? Yeah.
Because we had to animate
Full CG,
armor on
baby.
top of. Yeah, we actually had just hired this. I think is Andre Georgian or Russian. I'm not sure, but
One of
he's
the
like
two.
this
Moldovan.
genius. Oh, Moldovan. Excuse me. Genius creature and character rigger. And rigging, by the way, is like creating the character and the costume and everything that's animatable, the controls. And he was so fast at taking our feedback and updating the armor controls and stuff, because we had to make sure that none of the armor was like intersecting with the gorilla's, skin or other pieces of the armor. It was very, very, very technical, and none of it was automated, so we all had to do it by hand. But like he would like update the rigs in a day, and it was like he was like
Yeah.
such a good PD. It was amazing. But go ahead and talk about it, Jason.
Oh, well, I had
Tell us about it.
I animated most of the shots from that scene, I think. I don't remember if it was like a self-contained project or if I was splitting anymore. But
No, I think you were mostly on that episode. It was like that fight scene. Because I had
yeah,
some
Yeah, in the
stuff when they weren't in the
I was pretty
city.
much yeah, I was pretty much the guy where they're like, okay, and the script says they fight, and then Armin hands it to me. I have to
like,
like
come
look
here.
Yeah,
that
it's kind of the
But
Marvel
up.
the
method, huh?
animation turned out really beautiful because we had Flash like sliding in through the like dirt pit and all these like
Yeah.
dust effects. And it was very like,
Yeah.
this is like the height of full
We
CG.
wanted that scene. I mean, like that scene like called attention to itself
Yeah.
Yeah.
conceptually. So we're like, we got to go big with this. We got to get extra notes on this, and and like get all the details in there as much as we can. And it's like we're on this TV budget for CW, not uh Game of Thrones TV, but like TV.
Well,
We had the nerve to zoom in on him and do a close up, like right up to his eyeball. We were just
that
like, are
episode
you not entertained?
that episode was an event, like, and you guys mentioned earlier, like Avengers stuff, like watching like the Crisis stuff and like some of the crossovers you guys were able to do. I'll go ahead and say it here. I enjoyed the CW, like those were my movies versus like the DC extended universe at the time. Like no shade to them, but I definitely did appreciate your guys' work way more because of the character, like how the characters, the visuals, like everything
Yeah,
came
yeah. The
together
show
great.
gave more attention to the characters, and the movies were more uh on the technical side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're more focused on the look of it or something.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And we were on the bleeding edge of our tools. So it was very much like we're in the final frontier now. So go make everything look cool. Like, okay, how do I do that? There's no documentation. You're going to make it. Okay, we got it.
You're gonna make it.
Hey, Albert's back.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Albert.
sorry guys. I'm in Oregon on a farm, so sorry I got booted, so the
That
internet's a little
sounds
sketchy
so
out here.
peaceful.
So
There was a goonie at my
it,
door.
it is nice.
Who's farm? Is it your farm? Are
Yeah.
you with Matt Scheimer?
No, it's not mine. No,
Mark Scheimer went to Missouri.
He's got an
no,
old
this
farm.
Mark
it's
Scheimer,
my
what?
in-laws. Yeah, I'm at their house.
Mhm. That sounds so peaceful and awesome.
So,
Oh, it's nice. I mean, it's been cloudy and green. I can't
Can we
complain.
come to?
Sorry, I'm getting everything off track.
oh no, you're you're
Cloudy
totally
and green.
fine.
That sounds like Ireland.
I mean, it's been nice. Lots of rain, like except for the last week. So I was going to say that because you guys were mentioning favorite things to animate, and
Yeah.
I know I just interrupted something big just coming in.
No, go ahead.
But and I'm sure as annoying as it was for the zoom shots we did, honestly, I believe it or not, it's something so small. I actually had a lot of made it as much fun as I possibly could for that, and I think I became so after a certain point, I think I became sought after. Yeah, can you do this zoom shot? Can you do that zoom shot? Which is fine. There was a specific shot where where Flash or Reverse Flash, where they were
Mhm.
they had to zoom through the room, and this is when edits had to happen, where the object would be rearranged because obviously they were zooming through the room and doing little things, rearranging whatever say on in the room, maybe tidying up like when Flash was baking or making breakfast for Iris at one time, and it
Yeah.
was a top shot. And he was zooming around the table and things were being moved, and all of a sudden it was done. And uh, I actually have fun with those just because because he's so fast. I basically it was almost like capturing Flash at one point in one part of the room and then zooming him over to another part. And it was really mostly poses, honestly. And then posing him in one point where he's pouring something or pretending to pour something. And then zooming him around the table and like another frame and then putting him yet on the other side of the room, doing whatever it was. And then it all conglomerated and came together as this mess of lightning going around and things moving all over the room till it was, whatever they were asking for. And I thought those were kind of fun.
Hey,
So
Albert,
you
Those are
only
my
know
favorite
see it when you
shots to
pause the DVD.
watch.
Hey,
Yeah.
Albert,
Oh yeah, those are mostly mine.
while you were gone, we were talking about other shows that we worked on a little bit. I think
Oh,
you were a
nice.
lead on Black Lightning for a little while, weren't you?
Yeah, Black Knight was
Oh,
interesting. because that was, I don't want to say necessarily it was a lead, but I was one of the few people working on it. And so it was, when you said multiple hats we had to carry, I mean, if it was unofficial. I did everything from match moving on Black Lightning to I forget what his daughter's name was.
Well, you animated their
when she got her powers and everything.
You animated them when they were CG.
There was some animating, yeah. Right. Like there was a point when Black Lightning went to space. And I got to animate that, and for some reason, lightning.
Yeah, we actually launched the actor into space.
That's how it's.
Got Heather in the chat saying if it wasn't an Albert Zoop, I didn't want it.
Like if Albert didn't do it, don't send it to me.
Oh my God. I don't know if this is appropriate for the chat. You can edit it out, but I remember I was I was animating knives on Black Lightning, and one of the actresses was wearing this like skin tight bustier thing, and I found a nip slip that they had to fix in comp. I was like, guys, I think I see a nipple.
We're ready to explicit. You're good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're
okay. Sorry, we're taking this way off the flash.
Just think if you didn't say anything, it would have ended up on the CW.
Okay, it would have been Starbucks Cupgate.
Oh my gosh! At least we never did that.
You guys, we need to start a VFX podcast so we can just talk shit about other VFX shows.
Hey, I'd link to
totally listen.
I'm so down for that.
Yeah. You got your first promo on here then. You heard it here first, everybody. But so what would you say to people looking to get into your field? Like if someone was interested in starting?
Don't. No, just kidding.
Sorry, it's not.
She's kidding, but she's not.
It's a good time.
It's a bad time. Bad time.
So, the weather's nice
elaborate though.
So Jason and I mean, Jason, how long are you in the business total years?
Since 1999, so I guess 26 years.
It's the year
you're so old.
This is the year I started too, by the way. So like I started in Germany in 1999 too with visual effects or animation back then. It was just graphics animation. And so we've seen a lot of software come and go. We've seen a lot of people come and go. We've seen a lot of shows come and go. And I think I personally never regretted my decision of going into this field. I met a lot of creative ADHD people, I guess. And
that's all of us.
And it was just always an adventure. It was hard work, but it was always rewarding to see the work at the end and to laugh and to create something cool. But it is currently, in many ways, in my view, visual effects is kind of like the stepchild of music productions, of movie production.
Yeah.
And there's so much press going on that if it's CG, it's bad, for example. And to me,
total BS.
I feel like
AI is making making us the good guys now.
It's like saying between a hammer and a screwdriver, the screwdriver is bad, but the hammer is good. It's tools. We're just basically all the departments that make a TV show or movie, they're all just tools basically to get it all done. And I think you should use the best tool for the mission. And I think we've done invisible visual effects shots where people wouldn't even believe that they are visual effects shots, but they're obviously pointing out the
everything
shots.
David Fincher does has a bajillion invisible.
No, but I mean, literally us. Even in the Flash, there was invisible effects. There were fixes and stuff, and there was
cars and things.
I mentioned in the beginning, like how often the Flash himself was CG.
Yeah.
People wouldn't even believe.
People didn't know.
More than you think.
Since the first season, I remember, I think around the 4th or 5th episode, I think right after the miss, I think the supersonic punch, that's when we had it really where we go this is good enough. This is good enough for close up. We can finally do it. It took us a while to get there. Like I said, 5 episodes. But it is a fun. But right now, with this press and with the budgets going down and with after the writer strike, it's a really hard business right now. It's really hard to be a visual effects artist right now, and so it's hard to tell somebody, come join the crew and
I went back into video games because I couldn't find it. So
I went back to school.
We know people who have been out of work for like a year now and stuff.
I moved on.
So
I moved on from The Flash and worked on completely other shows, like What We Do in the Shadows, for example, which is a completely different thing to
Oh
do.
my God, Stefan, I had no
Um,
idea. I love that show so much.
That's
Yeah,
Elena's show, Stefan. I love
yeah,
it so much.
Girls love it.
it's in general, like
Nerd girls
again,
love it.
again, this is basically everything you guys had plus the fake documentary difficulty that basically camera info is like. But anyway, the
like it.
the general consensus to me is like, if you really love it and if you're really good at it, go for it. But as
It's
a
tough right now.
as a lucrative career opportunity, I don't think it's a good idea right now. Honestly, like it's
gonna
a tough.
take a couple years for it to
Yeah,
come back.
wait till the dust settles and figure out if
Yeah.
our jobs
And
still
Jennifer
exist by then.
and Jennifer
I hear
said
you.
something in the beginning that I so relate to. Again, 25 years in the business, and every single day I watch tutorials. Every single
Yeah.
day I
Always learning.
watch what's
I'm-
new software. Everything is constantly changing, and then with machine learning and AI and stuff, you just have to be constantly be up to date with everything, and that's the hardest part, in my view, about the job, especially when you want to be a generalist that can do everything a little bit, which is also kind of a dying breed, in my view.
I would also
Yeah.
say, I would go piggybacking off what Stefan just said. Like, I started my career in video games, and then in 2010, I got my first like previs job at Pixamondo, and that led to the Terra Nova job. And then I basically did VFX, encompassing final shots, previs, postvis for 14 years, and then writer strike, actor strike, cruddy, blah, 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 you know, and luckily I was able to fall back on my video game experience, because otherwise I would not be working either. And I, by the grace of God, whatever, I was able to find a video game job, and I'm having to learn like Unreal Engine 5 and all this, you know, and then they're constantly building tools to, you know, like proprietary tools for our game. And it's like a constant, like I have to look at tutorials constantly and like read through our Confluence pages of what the new tools are. And yeah, if you're not willing to constantly be learning, you have to have a voracious curiosity and appetite to learn, because otherwise you're just you're gonna get skilled out of the industry, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I
And
will
it's
say,
also not. Oh, go ahead.
Oh,
I was gonna say that's one thing I love about animation. Like again, modeling, there's new tools to do, like VFX, definitely new tools, pipeline. For animation, I feel like again, this is gonna feel like oversimplifying it. And the more you know, the better. And it's almost like 5 things you need to know how to do.
Yeah, you need to
3D
know
software.
the principles, and you need to know.
Yeah, well, that's all in the mind. But as far as software, it's like, all right, show me how to move the timeline, show me how to move the character object, show me how to set a key, and then edit that
And
key.
the graphitter.
Those are like the few things you need to know. You show me that, and any software can hit the ground running. Now you need to know more, but yeah.
So,
animation.
so
Go
the
ahead.
next one, Jennifer had a pipeline story about the Grodd versus King Shark fight.
Yep, I'll be brief. It started when I was working in the pipeline department with a couple other people, and then lighting lead Lorenzo Mastrobuono comes in and says, "I have a concern about an upcoming episode." And I'm like, "All right, what's going on?" He's like, "King Shark and Gorilla Grodd are getting into a fight." And I'm like, "Yeah, okay." And he said, "And each character has 5 levels of damage, which means that the right animation cache has to go onto the right version of the model." And I mean, the animators could waste their time running to the lighting department saying, use this, use this, use this, do this, or that information could just be embedded in the play blast, which automatically gets loaded in for the lighters. So they can say, oh, yeah, load this one in, and then they can assemble it over there. So again, information. So that was just a tweak that I made, because I had a pipeline where you could load in a play blast with your camera. It was when you load your camera for the scene, it would load in the play blast, and there'd be all kinds of information. So what I did was I went to my Maya script for that and tweaked the Python code and added. It would look at the version of the rig that was involved, or rather, it would look at the slider, because the animators could adjust sliders to adjust the damage.
Right.
Which meant that if like the director said, no, I want to change this shot from level 3 to level 2, and they recache it and republish the play blast, then that information could make it back to the lighter if they reloaded the play blast.
That was the coolest episode we made. it was the most technically
Yeah.
difficult as well because we had fur. We
And there was
had a
rain
water
too, right?
king shark. Yes,
Yeah.
we had destruction. There was CG City.
Wow.
It was like VFX and VFX and VFX and VFX. And we screened that episode, I remember, like all together, and we were just watching like, dude, we
I
made
can't believe we did this. Yeah.
Yeah.
like, this is crazy.
And it was driving me crazy because we put all of this stuff into it, and then there would be like a
And
shot.
it was
like,
dark.
well, there was that, but I was gonna say like we put all that work into it, and then we watch it, and I go like, hey, they forgot to put the cast shadow on there.
What? Record Matt.
It
But
was like it was
I
a missing
gotta
layer
say,
in comp
though,
or something.
yeah.
And I'm like, oh, we got everything but the one thing.
I do gotta say though, Alex, like I said, everyone has said before, but as far as our tech people and Jen and our tools people, shout out to them, all these guys, because you guys made help all the shows we were doing. They made our lives so much more easier just
And
because
they never
new
lost their
tools
temper
coming
with
in.
us, and they always
No.
said, "I'll work on
Never.
that." And yeah,
I want
Your
to
You guys did
It well is
favorite.
because of those guys. So
Yep.
I'm popular.
you are. I've tried
Yeah.
to poach her several times since we've worked together.
I mean, Jen, we've been stalking you since The Flash.
Jen,
Okay.
work on cloning yourself, Jen.
Yes.
Actually, I want like I'm almost positive that someone here like came up with one of like the best tech problems because in addition to writing tools, I was also helping them solve tech problems. And I forget if it was you, Albert, or you, Derek, but somebody it was the crossover episode where you had Green Arrow, Supergirl, and Flash were on top of a building, like one of the hero shots, and Maya was just not behaving. And so like I'm working around with the animator and we decided, okay, the shell on this myosine has cracked. Let's pour the contents into a fresh, clean myosine. So we started up a fresh, clean myosine, just did an import from one to the other into the fresh new container, and it worked.
That's Maya for you.
I'm wondering, I'm
that
just,
might have been me, but you did that a lot of times with me. I remember that.
I
Like,
think it
okay,
was you.
let's
I
pour
really
it into
think,
a new scene and see what happens.
I think it was you.
It
I'm
could-
almost positive, like you're the one who can't. I swear, like it was such a learning experience every day. It's like, oh my gosh, like what's going on? Oh, that's going on. Oh, didn't know that could happen. Oh wow, wow. So yeah,
That's Maya.
No, you just kept cool, dude. You just kept it cool. You didn't like, all right, well, you know what? Let's see where we can go with this. And it just became a learning experience for everybody.
And she would
And I
get
thought that was
so
really
many
cool.
requests. It would be like a stack on her desk, and she's like, "I'll get to it." And you never
Just
like,
daily.
you guys will help me get my steps in on my Fitbit counter. So
right?
That's
Yeah.
true.
You mean you're not standing in place running on a treadmill or something?
Awesome. So, Will or Brady, did you guys have any other questions, or did you want to enter into the final one?
Yes, I
had
actually did have
one.
one.
Oh, yeah,
I
whichever.
forgot mine. So Will, you go.
Yeah, go ahead, Will.
Yes, of course. So obviously we've been talking a lot about different scenes that you guys are proud of and stuff like that that you have worked on. Is there any particular scene that stands out to any of you, and anyone feel free to answer here as well, that you wish like, man, if they had just given me a little more time with this, if I had just had just a little bit more of a budget with this scene could have been so much cooler or something.
Every shot I've ever done.
Yeah, everything.
Every shot I've ever
everything.
done.
Have to take it away from us.
I know what you're asking. There is one in particular, one like shot that I did in particular that like stands out in my memory. Like, we ran out of time to simulate cloth and hair on a character. So it was like I think season 2 of Flash, towards the end, where the building is falling apart and he rescues the woman from the original Flash 90s TV show. And
Tina McGee,
carries her down like through the debris as the building is falling apart. And the hair, there was like, we ran out of time to simulate the hair and the clothing on the woman. And my girlfriend, who has no experience as a visual effects artist, pointed that out to me.
Like, why does that look busted?
I remember
busted.
I remember for the very first Gorilla Grodd, the very first shot that we've done for the big episode was just the hand with the subway Yeah, and there
I
was
think
there
I
was
worked on that shot.
there was wind in the fur, and I was so happy it was working. But then, for technical reasons, that's the only shot in the entire episode that has hair simulation whatsoever because we just couldn't do it for the first season. So in every other shot, the hair is just perfectly hairsprayed basically onto the character and never does any kind of hair typical thing. Luckily, it was mostly in a sewer, so it's not very windy down there. So, but
You guys
that
hit
was,
it well. I
but
didn't notice. Yeah.
no, and I think we also tried always to sandwich the effect a little bit, like so that you have always something in the foreground, some stuff flying around, like some trash, flying around or whatever. So you had the feeling of atmosphere without noticing that. At least in the first season, we just couldn't do it. I mean, I remember that just we had one artist only texturing the face to give the face a 32K texture so that we could do close-ups, even in the very first episode. But there were so many ideas. We wanted to get drool on the monkey. We couldn't do that. Like we just couldn't. Like it was just not enough time, and it just didn't look good. So there's a lot of things that we just couldn't do. But we tried, and I'm sure there's many of these stories.
Yeah, the first time we had a King Shark episode, I remember they were having trouble getting his pants to simulate properly. So like we would have to go in, and eventually they had somebody going into the geocaches and fixing the penetrations for us. But there was another character in season 2 that was like a giant guy. I don't remember what he was, but we had to fix. Yes, we had to fix the penetrations in his pants. Yeah, and this is embarrassing, but I remember sitting because my desk was kind of near Jason's, and I was sitting around like Eric and a few other people, and I shouted out to Jason, "I'm having penetration problems," and everybody was like, "Do you want to rethink that?" And I'm like,
"The Archer phrasing,
yeah, phrasing."
Yeah, that Atom Smasher, I think, was our first Maya character, I guess, apart from Flash himself, and we were going through like so much trials and tribulations to get the rig to work, and you could hear it a little bit afterwards when the audience reacted, and some people were giving us negative comments about deformations and things like that. And it was like like our first time switching the software and not knowing who is going to be like good at rigging the character or who wasn't. And it was just a lot of trial and error for that character, especially since he was transforming. So I worked on the transformation scene, tried to do the best I could with the rig.
The Atom Smasher,
yeah, and he's
that
was a lot of trouble to work with.
A lot of trouble.
But that was learning, growing pains rather.
So like I see some stuff in the comments here. You guys sound off. Any other ones? I see some, like one about like the mirror. I saw one of those.
Can we talk about the mirror episode? It's in the earlier seasons, yes. And those arms come out and grab Iris, and they're like, "No, we want it to look cooler." And we're like, "This is a room full of mirrors, and you have a mirror villain like running around." It was a lighting nightmare. Like those domes, I was like hand painting things out of it. I was like, "Oh, nope, that showed up in reflection. Okay, paint that out." Let's try again.
Anytime commenters would bitch about things, I'd be like, "Okay, well, you be given absolutely no time." Or like I'd be given a garage shot where he had to be scaling a building, but it was like a 35 frame shot, and it's like a 600, 700, 800-pound gorilla. And I'm like, I had to do the best I could with what, the client delivered a very short shot, and he has to climb. I don't know what you want from me. Yes, he doesn't look like he has enough weight, but also this is what they asked me to do. So yeah, I hate complainers.
Yeah. Well, clearly, like this is one of the other things I wanted to do with this is spotlight you guys more and kind of reveal, because I know like it's like you hear a lot about like in the Marvel movies how they have such tight deadlines too, and like that's the thing I definitely wanted to talk about is like like you guys have kind of said this already, but like what a typical like deadline is for you guys. It's like what you said, like
I'm willing to bet our deadlines were tighter than theirs, and the people
Oh yeah.
the people that work in
Oh,
movies,
way tighter.
they're used to
Yeah.
everything taking like 3 times longer or something.
Well, yeah, Jason
Even Game of
and I
Thrones got
worked
way
on
longer
feature.
than
Yeah,
us.
like I worked on Spider-Man No Way Home in 2021, and I remember I had one shot like just kept coming back with the dumbest notes, and it took like a month and a half to get it approved. I mean, we've worked on movies where I won't even get into it, but like, yeah, in feature they give you like way more time. But the problem is the feature directors think I have more time and money, so I'll give them a bajillion more notes. And it's like Armin at least had the good sense to tell them like, you get 2 rounds of notes and then you get to shut the fuck up because we got to get this out.
The reality is for TV shows like 10 days is possible, that you have 10 days for like an episode. For a whole episode with multiple shots. For The Flash, we usually had like I think 6 weeks per episode, but they were overlapping. And they were compressing. So it wasn't that you had 6 weeks, you had 6 weeks with that group of people.
Yes. The entire pipeline.
And you would have all the animation had to be done, then sent to the lighters, and then sent to the compositors.
And simulation got 2 days.
And simulation
has to happen in between too.
And before us, there's the people that do the camera tracking.
Yeah, they had all of the camera trackers and layout people. So it was
the modeling and the rigging.
It was like a relay race the whole time. Like, okay, it's your turn. No, wait, something's wrong with it. Wait, no, you can't pass it back. You got to take it.
I remember that first time we got nominated for the Emmy for the best visual effects, we lost to Game of Thrones, and it was like,
they had
9 months to work on one shot, and we had 9 weeks.
They get like $9 million an episode, $10 million an episode, and they got like 6
4
months to do
months.
it. Like,
Of course.
You guys had a giant ape fighting a killer shark. That's so much cooler than a dragon.
Well,
no cage, man.
Dragons are pretty cool too, but they get basically a feature budget for their episodes and a feature timeline.
You can see the difference.
We stole their dragon guy anyway.
Yeah, I was gonna say Dan Catcher.
Dan Catcher. We should have brought him on too.
We got the Game of Thrones dragon guy making our characters as well.
He made the dragons for the first 4 seasons. And we said,
he's the reason they look so cool.
Yeah.
So like your favorite like Flash monsters. I mean, James Koo was the one who sculpted King Shark and Supergirl.
Yes.
And the
White Martian was crazy.
I put Dan Catcher in the chat, but man, Catcher. Oh my gosh. I think he was the one who sculpted those monsters from Doom Patrol.
Yes.
Oh no!
Yes, the butt monsters.
The butt monsters.
The butts.
I could say it.
I never got to animate those. I was so depressed.
Oh wait, they're so gross.
Didn't you have to wrangle like 8 million of them in a shot?
Oh wow! Okay, you're talking about you mean like the first time you saw them? I was working with. Yeah. It was like it was just a few of us. It was like me, Jason, and I think Wim. Yeah, and we had to like basically. They were coming around a corner. It was an enclosed bunker, and they were coming around a corner, and it had to look like there was as many as possible, maybe like 100. And I think we started slowing down maybe after like 30 or 40 in there. So we basically had to break up the scene between me and between me and Wim. I did a certain amount, he did a certain amount, and it all came together, and it made it look like there was a gajillion of them.
Do you remember the flying monkeys? Do you remember the flying monkeys episode?
And that led us to animating the butts in Doom Patrol.
Yeah, we did the flying monkey episodes in Supergirl. I remember there were so many crazy things. I remember having to animate like 100 ravens for Titans. And after it was done, I was like, this could have been a comp effect. Like I didn't have to animate 100. They're butts.
I didn't have to touch the butts.
The ass
I did not have to
monsters.
do those.
Touch the
The butts were so. Oh well, yeah, touch the butts, not great, but I didn't have to. I didn't have to do anything I didn't want to do.
Nothing scary and no butts.
No
was
butts.
the rule.
Literally,
both of which are very common on Doom Patrol.
Yes.
Right. So I did very limited things on Doom Patrol. I did some matte painting for y'all.
Nice. Awesome. So, Brady, did you remember your question?
Yes, I did. So you guys worked on a lot of shows like Legend of Tomorrow. Did any of you work on Ben and Lois? That's not my question. I just want to know before I
No, that
start
was a different
listing
show. That was
stuff.
a different
It
effects
was
house.
Zoic.
Yeah. So we didn't get
Okay.
to work on that
Okay.
one.
Well, my question basically was, is there another character or show you would have liked to have worked on, like a Green Lantern or a Batman or, I don't know, an obscure pick
We
like
worked
Blue
on
Beetle or
Batgirl too. I
something?
forgot about that.
We
did
did.
Batgirl. We
Ooh.
did season 1 of
And
Batgirl.
Batwoman.
Batwoman.
They worked
Yeah,
on Robin.
she was a Batwoman.
She's all
Oh,
grown up
sorry,
now.
Batwoman.
Woman.
But they
Excuse
worked
me,
on
she was a Batwoman.
But they worked on
The
Titans.
infamously troubled production of Batwoman.
I loved working on
Oh.
Legends of Tomorrow because aside from getting to do cool characters, like I got to do one episode where they land or the plane or their ship crashes and they get out and there's T-Rexes everywhere. And
The
T-Rexes. Yeah, like I love the
episode
episode where they go back in time
Clocks
and
them at
like
30
George.
miles per hour.
Yeah, and then George Lucas, like they're interfering with George Lucas.
Oh,
or
that's a
they're
great
interfering-
episode.
Yeah, or there was the episode with the saber-toothed cat that gets on board. I don't know. There's just so many bonkers funny episodes. Like the first three seasons.
I just
were so
remember
good.
like
Legends was a fun
Gorilla
show.
Grodd. One of the Gorilla Grodd plots was trying to kill Barack Obama in college.
Yes.
I've seen memes
Yes.
of that.
one.
Yeah. I didn't get to work on that episode. I was sad.
Weird idea.
That's what I loved about that show. It's just like, what's a weird, like, how can we, like, the first season was very serious, but the other ones
But
were just
season
like,
2 and 3 got silly. Yeah, it's like
Exactly.
Doctor Who.
yeah.
Feels like a
definitely.
kid-friendly Doom Patrol in that sense.
Yeah.
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 We had a lot of funny animations floating around our folder structure too. Someone did the I had the time of my life like jump dance with King Shark and another character. And I don't remember who it was, but when we all left, like there was no way for us to take it with us. So it just
Aw.
lives somewhere like
It lives in our
on the
memory.
server. King
Yeah.
Shark doing this like little run and like jumping
That's awesome.
hot in the air.
So,
You, Jason. That seems like a very you thing to do.
What?
King
The
Shark
King Shark.
running and dancing.
Dancing?
The jump and catch with
I can't
it
imagine
was
myself.
him and like Grodd or something
I
like
can't
that.
imagine.
Oh, so it's like the dirty dancing thing.
Oh
can't-
yeah,
I
yeah.
can't
It was like
imagine
the
getting-
full thing.
I can't imagine getting paid to make those guys dance.
Oh no, I'm sure you didn't.
but on my
I
own
bet someone
time.
paid for it. But
yeah. So, I guess my last, unless Will, you or Brady had another one, I guess I'd go ahead and go to the last question. You guys good?
I got nothing.
Yes,
Gotcha.
sir.
Yeah.
All right. So are there any new projects or things you can talk about that our listeners might be interested in? And obviously, everyone answer for this one.
Well, I'm under NDA for two of them, I guess. Well, just one of them. I've been since the industry is kind of like imploded. Jobs aren't what they used to be, so
Okay.
I've been working on B movies, and
Oh, shark! You got a Sharktopus.
yeah, I
You
work
gotta
on. I
drop-
work. Well, I did
Yes.
work. I did work on Sharktopus once, but now I'm working on at the Sharknado company.
Oh,
Nice.
yes, do
Nice.
they need lighters?
Back to the basics.
They just laid everybody off.
See, this is why it's not a good time to get into VFX.
Yeah.
We're sorry.
It's a really
It's a bad time.
it's a really weird time. Like
Yeah.
I both of the shows I used to work a lot for both wrapped up. It was Evil.
I love that show.
Evil was absolutely lovely to work on, and
Even though it
then
was evil.
What We Do in the Shadows was the other show that also wrapped.
so
That
great.
was also so much fun to work on. But I'm working since my first day in the United States until now, which is also like 18, 19 years now. I work still on NCIS actually, which is like one of those bread and butter,
Yeah.
TV shows.
Oh,
And
we also did
anytime-
Wi-Fi at Encore.
Yeah,
we
did
did
so-
so many
Oh, my
shows.
mom
Yeah,
loves that
Crazy.
show.
so anytime they blow something up for the beginning, I just I don't know if I can talk about this because I don't know if the episode already aired, but there's a
I can
crossover
always
between
edit if I need to.
yeah, There's LL Cool J is saving a character in NCS and blowing up a landmine, basically. So anyway, that's something I did recently. But again, like it's the big budget shows are currently hard to find. It's like
Yeah.
it's people. I guess as the studios are also really careful in how they're positioning their stuff, and yeah, it's tough. But
Even Previs is struggling, which used to be like like even when the final stuff wasn't really around, you could get a Previs job pretty easily, and that's not even really happening right now. So
Actually, I'm working on previs right now.
yeah. So
but yeah,
that was the project that was under NDA.
Mm.
And we've been using sort of a combination of AI and CG, and
Ooh, weird.
the person that led the effort is very interested in AI.
Is it Colin?
Huh?
Are you working with Colin?
No.
Oh, okay.
Someone else like him, I guess. But
Okay.
but yeah, he was very interested in AI. But the thing to know is that we would run into logistical problems with trying to control it. So
Yes.
we would end up just sort of resorting
It's not
to
this
animating
cure-all that they
it.
want it to be.
So we would animate it instead, but we could use AI to generate generic characters without having to use a modeler. So we could just say, okay, well, we need an extra in the background. Okay, poof. You type into Midjourney, here's an image of a character. You feed that into another AI, spits out a model. You download it, you put the texture on it, and then I rig it and animate it for that scene. So I guess you could say like AI could have replaced modeling jobs for previs. But the animation, no, because trying to tell it what to do is
Yeah, and the amount of
painful.
notes you get from the client is just impossible to anyway. Yeah.
Yes. The other thing I was working on, so I've had like 3 projects recently. Um, is I created a music video using CG and AI, and I posted it on YouTube, and then about a month later, I got a message from a musician from New Jersey who he had a song that I thought sounded, professional. So I said I could work with this. So he's paying me to make an AI music video right now. So there's kind of like a sub genre of work there. But I'm having to still use CGI to supplement it because there's only so much sense you can make from AI footage.
Yeah.
The
Right.
thing I also don't love about AI is the amount of environmental footprint it has. It's like almost worse than Bitcoin mining.
Yeah, I
Sure.
mean,
So it's just
they're probably they're working on trying to fix that problem, I'm sure,
mm,
but I don't know when they're going to do it.
Yeah.
they're spending so much time and money trying to replace humans, so that it would be cheaper just to have humans again. But I digress.
Yeah.
it's another
That's
reason.
what they've talked about putting it on nuclear power plants so that it would.
Yes.
I'll make
Let's
up
go
for it.
nuclear so
Because
that we
that's
can
worth
replace
it.
humans.
You
Well,
have now
it-
you have
it's
now another reason to not go into the business of visual effects because of AI. That's another thing that is, I think, threatening some artists or a lot of artists right now. And
Yeah.
but again, like quality will prevail in my view,
Yeah.
not quantity. And with that stuff, I think it's in some ways a bubble, or it can become a tool that needs to be,
I
like you
feel
said,
like right now
augmented.
it was kind of a bubble and a little bit of a scam. But anyway, I'm
Oh
getting off
yeah. There's
topic.
there's a lot of
Both.
overhyping involved, and there's a lot of people that don't use AI that have assumptions about it, and they think, you see this pretty shot, you think that the person had that shot in mind, but no, that's what the AI had in mind. It's not what the client has in mind.
Yeah.
So there's all these pratfalls to it. But I feel just as threatened by it. So I felt, okay, I have to go learn this thing to know thy enemy,
Yeah.
so to speak, and to know what we're up against and whether it can be harnessed. To find out, is it going to plateau at some point where it's like right now it's still got this uncanny valley problem.
Yeah.
Audiences do
Mhm.
not go for that. No matter how it's like you can get it if it's like I described it as you know how I say a spaceship can't go past light speed without warp technology.
Mhm.
So you could get close to light speed, but if you actually achieve the light speed, then it just disintegrates and falls apart. So I feel like there's something like that going on with AI where it can get kind of close to reality, but never quite close
That's
enough
because
where
it's just
you'd like it.
hallucinating all
Yeah.
the stuff that's been stolen and fed into it. But
Mhm.
anyways, does anybody else want to talk about what they're working on? I'm working
Yeah.
on a video game that's not announced right now, so I can't really tell anybody anything about it. It's super cool, but I can't say anything.
Gotcha.
So, Jen or Jake or who else?
Yeah, whoever
Sure.
else.
Like
Yeah.
from what
Uh,
like Jason was saying to pick. Oh, go for it, Jen.
I just dropped a link into the chat. The game studio I'm working for right now, they've released a game called My Pet Hooligan,
Ooh,
and so you can purchase it now on the Epic Games Store, and it will be coming to Steam soon.
nice.
Gotcha.
You were
Definitely
gonna say,
link that.
So
Awesome.
Jacob,
Yeah, like Jason was saying how he worked on a music video. So just recently released, and this was created many years ago, but just released it to the public as uh, it's a music video, but I more view it as a short film that we just released, Spark. So it's 3D animated. It was before AI became a huge thing. So just released that. I'll give you guys the links. And then I can announce it because, I mean, mention it because it's been announced. Currently working for Walt Disney Imagineering
Woo!
and working on one of the new rides, Stark Flight Lab. And
Nice.
that's what I'm currently on.
Congrats.
Gotcha.
Those jobs are always fun. Like I got to work on some Star Wars stuff for a theme park, so that was like
Woo!
I'm a huge Star Wars fan, and that was the closest I ever got to that. So I totally get it that this
Awesome.
is a lot of fun, Jacob.
Thanks.
I worked on some commercials for Huggies pull-up diapers. They're
Woo!
really
oh yeah, did that air yet?
Sexy.
Yeah, it's
they're
playing.
on
Hold on, guys.
they're social media. They're on social media. So
They're
Oh,
cute.
so social media. Okay.
I'm
I
a
have
big fan of those.
maybe I don't get it because I'm not a parent.
yeah.
I have to be in the algorithm.
I mean, Huggies is a
But,
big brand.
but also you're doing something more than that as well, Derek, right? Because we're talking about some of us are transitioning as well because of
I
the industry.
I
don't know.
I'm teaching character animation at a school called Millman, and
Oh,
Nice.
congrats.
Congrats.
That's awesome.
I've been putting my own business together, helping people
Nice.
lose weight and feel better. So
Congrats.
coaching. So it's been great.
Awesome. All right. Is that everybody? Everybody talked about their future projects and everything, and
Albert, what happened to your light?
Yes.
What now?
He's
What
there.
happened to your light? Your
Darkness.
screen's like almost solid black.
Darkness.
Oh, I don't know. Let me put on. Hold on a second.
You want a closet?
Are you haunted on the farm?
There you go.
You know what? The light started because the window was open and it gets dark, so I didn't turn on the light. Can you see me now? I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Can you see
Yes.
me?
it's getting dark in the farmland over there.
Yeah, it sure is. Okay, as such, I mean, I'm always available for freelance, but I've kind of shifted a bit, so I'm not so much as in the industry anymore as I used to be. I now help out in behavioral therapy as far as in schools, elementary schools or middle schools concerning children. So kids that are on the spectrum or kids that have special needs. I have a kid myself that has one, so transition wasn't so bad after training. So that's kind of what I'm doing right now. I'm still kind of keeping the foot to the ground as far as with as far as in the industry, it's learning. I mean, I had been learning a little bit about what is it in this whatever spare time I have about Unreal 5.
Yeah, and you've been doing some great game
very robust
animations too. So
Thank you. Yeah, so I was getting some stuff together, and I've kind of I got myself in like as far as here and here. Still moving forward on that, so maybe I'll concentrate maybe games more as far as in the next year. I just got this going on right now, but I'm always keeping an eye out, see what's going on with friends. That's pretty much it. So
Yeah.
Nothing
Awesome.
really industry to speak right now.
Cool. So, that I would prefer before we do the outro, I would just like once again to thank all of you for coming on. I'm sure this was like a mini reunion for all of you guys. So,
Yeah.
thank you all
Yeah.
for joining me. This has been a great experience and really great opening up this world of visual effects artists. I'm sure not a lot of people really like really get into this side, and you guys definitely need a spotlight because we always see your work, but we don't ever really hear from you guys. So it's really great to finally hear from you guys and hear what kind of work goes into it.
Oh yeah.
Thank
Oh
you for
yeah.
doing
We
that.
really appreciate you highlighting it too,
Yes.
because like, after the Life
Oh,
of Pi people got, played off stage, I think that was like 2012 or 2013
Oh,
or
that
something.
was awful.
Like our hackles were up because you know what you would be watching if it wasn't for us? A bunch of actors on wires behind green screens. And,
Yeah.
guys, I know you guys like to pretend like we don't exist, but Barbie had like over 1,000 visual effects shots. Sorry, Greta, but it's true. That was Warner, and I don't even know that was her fault. I think that was Warner Brothers like
Yeah.
marketing ploy, was to say it's all practical. I'm like,
It's
yes,
it's
Margot Robbie
because
slowly floated down from that Barbie
Hmm.
house,
yeah,
no problem, on
it's
her own.
it's coming from YouTube comments.
And like,
yeah.
This
Yeah.
whole anti CG thing. People go on YouTube and they say, "I hate CGI," and then the movie's like, "Oh," or the studios are like, "We have to make our money. We have to tell them that there's no CGI. They're just imagining things." You know,
Yeah.
They
So
can't do it
Uh,
without us. It would be way too expensive. Like that ship has sailed.
Heather,
Everything that you
yeah.
see.
you had
Heather, you were working on something, right?
yeah.
I am still trying to like keep my foot in the industry and I've been applying to different places, but in the meantime, I'm back to what I was doing before, which is fine art and specifically fiber art. So I run a social media channel. I am That's So Heather everywhere on the internet.
She also has a store online.
I'll drop the links. I've got a store and I've joined my local quilt guild, which I'm now a member
Yes.
of the board. So I'm very like in with the granny crew.
She makes beautiful work. You should check her out on her Instagram, and she has a store and all that good stuff.
And if you simply Google my name, I am the entire first page of Google.
Nice.
I
Street
just
cred.
remembered a fourth project that I'm involved in recently, The
All right.
Account 2.
Oh, nice.
I'm an extra.
Nice.
I'm an extra in the movie. So
What?
everybody,
Nice.
go see it.
Famous.
I'm going to.
Counting
Go to
two?
the theaters. Try to find me with a magnifying glass.
Yes. Come on, film career.
Nice.
Yeah,
Awesome.
my next door neighbor does casting for extras. So
Oh, that's cool.
I was like laid off one day, and he's like, "Hey, you want to go make a quick buck?"
That's awesome.
Awesome. Yeah.
So there's like a scene. It's a restaurant in Prague, but they shot it in downtown Los Angeles.
Because of course.
Sounds about right.
Of course
Oh
they
yeah,
did.
the other thing I got to do recently a couple of times was be an on-set VFX supervisor for a couple of live action shorts, and one of them actually they were Oscar qualified, but they didn't get into the Oscars, which was really a shame because it was about how California uses prisoners to fight fires. And then, of course, the fires happened in LA, and I'm feeling like the Academy missed out on an opportunity to highlight these very important people. It was called Fireline, I believe, and then I was also in another set for a short film called Dirt that was like a concept short for a live act for a longer thing. So I got to play on set, which was really fun.
Nice. So at the end of each episode of this show, we have a thing and we try to sync it up as closely as we can. I have a catchphrase I say at the very end of this. It's see you in the Speed Force. And so everybody, if like I'm gonna like do a countdown, Will unmute your mic, sir. Everybody
Yes, sir.
else. Yeah,
I
we'll
had
try
to
to
clear my throat.
Oh,
yeah.
hell yeah,
Muted.
Jason.
We'll try to link this up as easily as we can through the magic of Zoom. So, is everybody ready?
Yeah.
All right. 3, 2, 1. We will see
See you in the
in
Speed
the
Force.
Speed
Oh, boy.
Force.
Can you give us an example of the speed you want to say it?
Like, how do you want us to like see you at the
you do it
Speed
for us,
Force?
show us.
Is it
No,
in
no,
the
that was
Speed
great.
Force?
No, that was
No,
great.
it wasn't. That was horrible.
It was
You want
no,
me to do it
we can't
again?
go
We
out
can
like
do it
that.
again.
Oh, you should listen to half
we
these
can fix it in
episodes.
post.
In the Speed
Yeah, yeah.
Force?
We can
Or
do it
at
again.
the
You guys want to
Speed
go
Force?
take two?
Yes, but give
Yeah,
us
I
a
think
reading
we'll try
first.
again.
All right,
In the
Give us a
Speed
All
reading.
right, take
Force.
two. All right, everybody ready?
Okay.
Well, no, just first show us how
You should
how you
say
get,
it
yeah.
first.
Oh, we just say it.
And
We
we'll
just say
ADHD mimic you.
Yeah, exactly.
okay.
See
All
you
right,
on the
we're
Speed
like
Force.
herding cats.
Bing
You
boing,
gotta
bing
give
Yeah,
boing.
us-
we need to hear it.
we just like
Is
Brady.
it
It's
on
just a
3 or
soulless
after
like we
3?
will see you at the Speed Force, right?
Like do it
it's-
like
Yeah.
SNL.
yeah.
Live from New York, it's Speed Force.
We'll see you in the Speed Force.
Speed
Yeah, we
Force.
could do
You want
that.
us to say it just like that?
Yeah, let's do it
We
like
could
that.
do
Yeah, we
that.
could do
We'll
that.
see you in
Okay.
the Speed
We've
Force.
never done a
All right. Yeah,
variation
let's
on
go
it,
for it. I
so-
love
Got
it.
it.
All right. 3, 2, 1.
See
will
you
see
in
you
the
in
Speed
the
See you in the
Speed
Speed
Force.
Force.
the ADHD version.
That was amazing.
Conductor.
Thanks. Hold on.
But the-
Again,
before
prank.
the
Start from the
intro.
prank thing again, Stefan.
So
I did not know
it
that.
just was important that we at least once a day we have a really good laugh. So there was a series of pranks we did. We once changed all the hand sanitizers to lube, basically. So we bought clear petroleum-based lube, but for some reason
This
nobody
is
at this
pre-COVID,
point,
by the way.
yeah,
Yes.
nobody would use it, and especially not
Also
the person,
pre-Diddy party.
yeah.
Dear God, Will.
But then all of a sudden a client walked in and immediately like laser
no.
targeted, and then it wouldn't react like normal sanitizer. It just wouldn't go away. And then I had to walk up and say like, you should wash your hands. And the only thing that client says like, should I be concerned?
It's just lube. Dude.
But we changed also the keyboard ones of one of our artists, the letters out, so it said Shiva Linga from Indiana Jones, because there was like a running joke. And unfortunately, that artist had to run a deadline, looked at the keyboard and couldn't work, smashed the keyboard and ran out of the room.
Was it Jeremy Jasper?
Right.
It was
Was it
Jeremy.
Jeremy?
I think I got a video somewhere of you guys pretending you're in a cult of people that wear the same shirt.
Yes, we ordered all the same outfit.
Yes.
And said one morning we all gonna be dressed up in the same outfit and go single file to lunch and always greet people with to new beginnings and happy endings. That was our cult catchphrase. And we really freaked people out. People asked us in the restaurant, are you guys Scientology or what's going on? It was just, we really tried to always have a little bit of fun because the work was so breakneck hard. And
That's why we did the Nerf Wars.
This
We
was
did
in
like Call
Hollywood,
of
so
Duty,
people didn't know.
running
Every-
around the cubes, like
every
taking
hour we would
cover.
start song 2 from Blur, the 2-minute song, and when that song was playing, everybody had to get up and be for a moment, berserker. And then when the 2 minutes were over, we worked another hour, and those were all ideas to kind of keep the spirit up. It
Let it
wasn't
steam
always
out.
appreciated by the corporate, but
Oh yeah, or the people
I
who shared the
mean-
office with us.
but you
Every
know,
hour on the hour you find.
Oh, they hated us.
We
Yeah,
separated to like Nerf OK zone and not Nerf OK zone.
Mhm.
yeah,
I
but
remember.
We had to stop because they had a limit on how many eyeballs could be destroyed.
Yes.
Yeah.
Once you start
We need our
hitting
eyeballs to
eyes.
work.
But I one morning put safety goggles on each desk for each artist just in case.
My favorite part
I
was
still have it in my
Jason had an
closet behind
alarm.
me.
Got mine.
Jason had an alarm that would play the Spaceballs line. Was it how many assholes we got on this ship? And then like everybody'd be like, "Oh, it's Nerf time," and it would grab the Nerf.
That was.
guns
I
and
don't
stuff.
remember what line it was.
Wasn't it? Wasn't it,
It was
that
keep
one?
firing
sir?
assholes.
Oh, keep
Keep
firing,
firing assholes. That's right. Yeah.
I remember that.
That's what it was.
Actually, Stefan,
Fantastic.
Stefan just demystified something because there was this 3D Studio Max virus going around that I had to fix up to season 3. Someone comes up to me and says, there's this random message that keeps appearing in my shot. It just says like all hail Shiva Linga or something like that.
Oh my God! It made it all the way
It
to
wasn't
season
you.
3.
You wrote it
It wasn't you. It was
in?
like someone,
Diabolical.
it was someone else. It was like one of the other guys like put this like thing in 3 Studio Max. 3 Studio Max had this
Oh,
hotkey where
man.
you could set a message to appear when you opened your scene. unfortunately, if you imported anything from that scene into their scene, the message would
The
go
message
with
would go with it.
and
Propagated
the
down the
hotkey was
pipeline.
removed in later versions of Max.
Oh no.
So
We had some.
I dug into it, found out how to remove it, and the guy who put the message in the first place was very sad because he put it in there for fun. And it's and said, I'm sorry, it's like this other guy told me to take it out.
Yeah, we bought once an electric shock collar for dogs because one of our coworkers, Eddie, would just talk too much, and he said you get a good collectible if you wear it for a whole day. What he didn't know is we had a 600 feet remote that we could trigger it from anywhere, even through walls. So he would go down to smoke a cigarette, and I press the button and get a text, "You're a sick bastard, Stefan." and he would. I think this thing gets triggered by my sound. I think I have to be very quiet. And no, we just had a button.
And, amazing.
But again, it was all to kind of get over this feeling that you go to work and you kind of like, you do this for money.
You gotta laugh, man.
Yeah, we had so many laughs, but we also were really productive. And I think that was the balance. Yeah. I mean,
there's no laughs. It's just trauma.
I towards like
those
the
first two seasons were great.
I didn't do anything that extreme in the later seasons, but I was bringing in silly snacks for a while. I would go to like a Japanese grocery store, find the silliest named snacks I could, and put them on the tables, and then put on the messaging system to the group chat, and I'd just say chocolate colon in the compositing room, or I'd say chocolate crunky in the lighting room, or whatever. But the number one thing that I actually got in was like I was walking around Ralph's, and one of the end caps had a Game of Thrones Oreos display. So I grabbed three packages, one for each of the major rooms, put them out, and next thing you know, like everyone's like so happy, like they're all like grabbing their Oreos and they're like comparing like logos with each other, and they were just so happy, and that was probably the best snack I brought in.
Awesome. Oh, we put we put googly eyes on everything. I remember too, like including the buttons on the phone and everywhere. Like it was again because we couldn't just stop by ordering 100 googly eyes, so we ordered on Amazon like 5,000 and then googly eyed everything, Or we once wrapped an entire workstation, keyboard, mouse, everything in garbage bags, but everything, the toys, everything. It took us an hour to wrap, and it took that person 2 hours to unwrap again. Anyway,
that's my favorite one.
I remember the wrapped up desk.
Yeah. But like I said, when it was breakneck delivery time, we didn't do those kind of things, and we just really like showed up. So like was kind of a good balance. And I also want to mention one last thing. I left after the first season, and right at the end of that, I had a birthday party / kind of like season ending party in LA here in Little Tokyo, and a lot of the team showed up, and I still today one of my favorite birthday parties of my life. Like it was just we had like a flash cake. There was a giant red flash cake, and we had like myself and another artist DJing that night, and it was just a really, really cool end of it. And again, like this first season and the first and working on the Flash is definitely something I'm super proud of, and I'm super happy to have worked with most of you. I mean, Heather, you came after me, but it was really like an amazing experience. I love the googly eyes.
Jacob, please.
Reminds me of that Christopher Walken skit from Saturday Night Live with all the googly-eyed plants.
Yeah, there was the gardener, that is the indoor gardener afraid of plants. And he put googly eyes on each plant. We played that sketch also like 1,000,000 times.
Googly eyes.
Wow.
We did a lot of weird cakes too at Encore. Some not safe for work. I don't know if anyone.
I don't want to know.
The cocoon episode, but there was a cocoon cake, but that's not what we called it. And there was an HR meeting about it. Yeah, someone was like in a cocoon and it looked and we were like,
Oh, I know.
And then
what
Armin like pranked us, and we were like,
Savitar, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is explicit. We can go into it.
It might be too graphic.
Should we talk about Savitar?
Sure.
I mean,
Or Fatatar? It's like Savitar had like two different looks. He was
Mhm.
first he was all CG, so he was like made like all badass looking and CG,
Mhm.
and then they're like, we want to save money, so they built a practical suit, and the suit was puffy on the guy,
He's
so it
like
looked like a
fat
fat version of
Batman.
the CG character.
Avatar's
And then they're
dad.
like, well, but now you can't. You're going back and forth from the fat Savitar to the slick looking CG
Mhm.
characters. Like now you have to have like a fat CG character to match it.
Tight
So
match
they
move.
built two different Savitars just to make it look like he's the same guy in the show.
He
Wow.
was annoying to light too, but that was a fun episode.
Yeah, all
We
the
didn't get
silver and
any of the
everything,
cape.
reflective, probably. Yeah, I could
Mhm.
see that being
A
frustrating.
lot of hand painted HDRs.
And Kid
Yeah.
Flash got cocooned in. I don't.
That's the one.
Yeah,
The
I don't know
Yeah,
why he was
the
cocooned. It was like a
cocoon.
So
weird.
he could get
they needed a
powers.
reason for him to become Kid Flash.
Yeah, he got cocooned, and the design for the cocoon did not look work friendly.
At that point, just give him the lightning, like in his original appearance when Barry's showing him his lab, and he's like, "Oh, here's my lab,
I just
lightning
saw the
strike here,
group
but that's
chat.
not going to happen again." And
I
then
want to say it.
yeah, he gets hit.
The
I
cocoon.
saw what you wrote,
Mhm.
Heather. I don't
That's
Oh
think
my
you
that's
can
what
say
God.
that.
that's the most traumatizing memory from the show. And then they had this cake and it was like and then one of the like non-artists complained. So it was a whole HR thing.
Ugh,
And that was like
Oh, I remember
the end
that.
of fun.
yeah.
And we were like, dude, it's not even it's
Chill, we're
funny.
just having fun.
Like
Jeez.
nobody's gonna like do anything weird. Like,
Yeah.
Awesome. So cool. So